For commercial or residential projects, trust McInnes Roofing and Sheet Metal. Visit McInnesInc.com today.
1620 The Zone. Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. 1620thezone.com and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Matt, and
all right, good Monday morning, everybody. How we doing? Welcome to 5 months of darkness. And you have to guess what I'm talking about. But welcome in on a Monday. November is upon us. And you know what else is upon us?
What's upon us?
It is the college basketball season. So where in the United States is Gary Sharp today? As we begin that tour. Good morning, boys.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. We are in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I can't believe that the college basketball season is beginning today.
Yeah.
Would I say that I'm ready? Kind of. I mean, I had to, get back into doing all the charts and, updating some things. But yeah, college basketball begins. Omaha actually plays the third game of the 25-26 season when they play at 12:30 today here in Sioux Falls at the Pentagon against Murray State.
Why are you playing so early at 12 o'clock?
Why not?
So this is the Field of 68. That online company, Rob Doster, Jeff Goodman.
Yeah.
They do a great job covering college basketball. So they are getting more into putting on events. And so this is the second straight year they've done this. And so why not at the Pentagon? The Pentagon's a great place, great venue. Nebraska men and women are going to play back-to-back days up here on the 15th and the 16th. Omaha's played here before. Creighton has played here. The Creighton women just played an exhibition game here against North Dakota State. But they like to put on these showcases. So actually here in an hour in Rock Hill, South Carolina, the first game of the day will begin online.
7 a.m.?
Yeah, 7 a.m. I guess the players, one of the teams is Queens, and I'm not sure who the other team is. They had to get up. Their wake-up call was 5 a.m. to get their pregame in and all that kind of stuff. So it's they're trying to make like the opening day of college basketball like a big deal. There's not a lot of great games. There's a doubleheader in Vegas. But yeah, Nebraska or Omaha and Murray State playing at 12:30. Murray State, of course, is the Jacers.
Yes. With
Fred King, who may not play today, Mason Miller, who will play, and then Ryan Miller, who was on Mac's staff, is now the head coach at Murray State. And they've got a lot of optimism, but they also have 15 new guys. They have nobody returning from last year.
That's wild. I think of 7 a.m. tip, and I just get transported back to those hockey tournaments that we used to have when you were like 10 years old, and it's like puck drop was at 7:30.
Parents with a big coffee.
You've never woken up earlier than 6 o'clock in your entire life, and like dad is like up at 4:45 with a cup of coffee and a couple of donuts. He's like, all right, kid, we got a big game today. We got to play this team. We traveled 7 hours, even though that the team we're going to play actually plays right next to us. So, let's go ahead. Let's go do it. That's 7 a.m. is wild.
Hotel's 5 degrees, I reckon.
Yeah.
No, you know what? So we're staying in a really nice place. This is a newer area down by the falls in Sioux Falls. We don't usually stay here when we come to Sioux Falls, but we're downtown. We're in the Colony. It's a Hilton property, but it's in an area called the Steel Market. So it's a brand new area on the edge of downtown, right where the falls start.
Okay.
So it's like a really, really beautiful area. I'm a fan of Sioux Falls. I'm a fan of everybody having 2.5 kids in white picket fences, living in a credit card healthcare city. But I'm a fan of Sioux Falls. This is a really nice hotel. My only problem, though, guys, as I got up and got going this morning to get ready for the show, is it's I'm just to admit this. When you go to the NCAA tournament, as the Omaha men's basketball program did last year, and you have sites and a good chance to go back again this year.
Yeah.
Your hotels are upgraded. This is the first time that I've ever stayed in a hotel that doesn't have a coffee maker in it. Instead, it has this fancy espresso machine.
Oh, come on.
I am drinking espresso for one of the rare times in my life.
Nice. You got to go down and get a milk carton. Is what you got to do. You got to get a little cream for that.
There's one of the selections that says please add milk. I went with the high intensity espresso this morning. I'm not sure if I like it.
I've seen you come into this studio with energy drinks that look like they've been bought off the black market. I don't think that's true. I think that you're going to be totally fine drinking.
Is that
espresso.
your Turkish
I don't know.
drink?
I drink of course, everybody knows I got
Yes.
my darling baby.
And
But
I
Got
like,
out of the-
and
went and
with-
got out of the bathroom this morning from Friday.
we did get it out of the bathroom, which by the way, I have not had it in the bathroom in months. All right. I've been good in that regard. But regardless, you come in here with like a can that's like black and gold, and it looks like you got it from like Eastern Europe, and you're all
Just
jacked
Russian
and
on
ready
the
to
side
go.
of it.
I think we have our best shows when you're drinking that Croatian
All right.
drink.
Well, we'll see, because we go to Abilene, Texas, and Fort Collins, Colorado before the week is over.
I know you're going to be
At least we come home after today's game. But we'll talk college basketball a little bit later, because Nebraska opens tonight against West Georgia, who were 6-26 last year. Creighton doesn't open until they play South Dakota on Wednesday. Evan Bland's going to join us a little bit later. Wilson Moore, who wrote a great story on Frager from the Nebraska basketball team. Great in-depth, really personal piece that Willie wrote. He'll join the show coming up a little bit later. That's the lineup brought to you by the referees at John Higgins Weather Guard. But we will see you over on 1180 at noon today for Omaha and Murray State, and the game tips off at 12:30. So if you want to join us over there, Omaha is a 3.5-point favorite, or a 3.5-point underdog against Murray State.
all right. You know
Yeah.
what? Maybe because I don't bet on the Bears, and I don't bet on Nebraska. Maybe I go over the river and I make a bet on the Bulls.
The thing about college basketball, and in particular mid-major basketball,
Mhm.
is Vegas doesn't have a handle on mid-major basketball until like the middle of December.
So you think that there's money? to
So
make.
for like 6 weeks, if you know the game, if you know the mid-majors, and I think mid-major basketball is in a precarious spot in the landscape of college basketball. You can make some money off mid-majors because Vegas doesn't know them yet.
Yeah, you're walking in here in December with like a gold chain and like, you got a bunch of rings on and everything like that. Garrett, what's happening? He's like, no, nobody knows the Summit League like your boy G Sharp. Nobody knows.
Mid-major madness. So, but welcome into Victory Monday. First of all, congratulations to you. You won a kick in the gut game that the Bears don't normally win. You won that game yesterday in Cincinnati. Jimmy's got the Cowboys tonight. They're on Monday Night Football against Arizona. And the Chiefs are in a little bit of trouble at 5-4 going into a bye week and hoping for a big trade deadline tomorrow.
Well, that and everybody else in your division just keeps on winning stupid games. So that also sucks. It was funny watching that game yesterday with 1:43 left and Joe Flacco had the ball after they recovered the onside kick, which, they should fire the special teams coordinator immediately, fire him into the sun. I was thinking, you know what? This defense should just let him score. Just let let Cincinnati score, give them the 1-point lead, and then give Caleb the ball with 2 timeouts in 1:30, and he will for sure go down and score, because that Cincinnati defense is the worst defense I have ever seen in my entire life.
Wait till tonight.
We
need to watch them go head to head.
Kyle Monungai was like, they just picked him because they were like, oh, Ben wants a running back, and he's just the highest available. He had a game yesterday that only Walter Payton has ever had in Bears history. No one has ever run for that many yards on that many yards per carry with that many attempts, except for Walter Payton, Bears history. And Kyle Monungai did it. So the Bears are terrible. And thank God the Bears.
Yeah, I think on the other side, we already knew this was coming. I think we're getting closer to the end of Zach Taylor. They scored 38 points, at least 38 points in 2 straight games, and they've lost both games. Well, there's some things out of the NFL. Of course, the Daniels injury last night with his elbow that didn't look good when the game was 38-7. The injury that everybody's talking about that did not look good on Saturday night. But welcome to happy 5 months of darkness.
Well,
sun goes down at 2 now.
No,
exactly. Jimmy knows where I'm going here. This has nothing to do with Nebraska football. I'm the positive guy. Okay. I am the rational, level-headed guy on 1620 talking about Nebraska football. I'm talking about how it's getting dark now at 5 o'clock. And now for the next 5 months, we're going to be in darkness. So happy standard day time to everybody that celebrated accordingly yesterday. Now we can get on to football talk.
I don't hate that the sun sets at 5 o'clock. I don't hate it.
You don't?
I hate it. It's depression. It kicks in. Then it gets colder outside. And all you do is you stay inside and you pull the curtains and it's just dark. It's nothing but darkness. It's nothing but darkness when you're 6-3. And you know what? On Saturday in Lincoln, they blew up the black balloons. They even played the song. They did everything you could possibly imagine to lean into this promotion.
Beautiful.
And everybody played their part. It was one of the best atmospheres I've been around for a good, I would say, 45 minutes. And then things just went, so the black balloon deflated. It went, and all of a sudden, I think that's the best way to describe it. I've thought about this for 2 days now. Because, I mean, people are when you lose a game like Nebraska lost against USC, and in the manner in which they lost, and then the news yesterday that Dylan is out for the year with a broken fibula, and now it's TJ Lateef time, and you're going to UCLA and you got 3 games to go, and all of a sudden you're 6-3 and you've lost 29 straight against ranked teams. Is you ride the wave of emotions. Every game is not a referendum in Nebraska football or Matt Rule on in my world.
Yeah,
but I think it is. I think the best way that I can describe the emotion a couple of days later is deflating. Just there, you could be pissed. You could look like Ja'Cory Barney coming off the field. You could be exhausted, which is fair, and I think you should be. But I think just deflating, because it was a game where it was there for the taking, and it just, I think, now has led to more questions than answers. And this has nothing to do with the quarterback conundrum. It's deflating. I think that's the best way to say Saturday night was deflating, but they're a good bounce back team. They proved that this year, but who knows what happens at the Rose Bowl, because the season is kind of turned upside down a bit.
Well, I just think Saturday was just such a confusing, like, I was confused in a way of like how to judge it and how to talk about it, because on the one hand, Dylan gets hurt and it obviously affected the game. I mean,
they can't overlook that. Yes,
you cannot overlook that. But at the same time, there were problems and issues that showed themselves in week 1. And now we are 9 weeks later still talking about those same problems and issues. And you could say, oh, Dylan got hurt. Matt Rule is still 1-8 in the month of November as the head coach of Nebraska, right? That's unacceptable. That's just not, you can't do that. I mean, you cannot. And he's talked about the month of November and the importance of the month of November for, since he's been here, and they've been unable to produce and perform. And it's just like, I don't know. It's funny though. You say deflated, and I agree. I think definitely people are upset and looking at the season being like, damn, what are you going to do with Dylan out? At the same time, I do think there's a little bit of hope in terms of, hey, what if TJ comes out and they have a whole week and weeks to prepare for him and game plan around him, and he comes out and the run game is even more explosive than what it's been. And, the fact that you do have a running back in Emmett Johnson that you can put the ball into his hands and he can go and make plays. Like, I think you're right. Saturday was deflating, but I don't think that, at least for me, I'm not looking at the schedule being like, oh, they're for sure going to go 0-3.
Oh no, I did see a lot of 6-6. Can they get to 8? Yeah. Can they get over the win total? We'll get into Lateef in the next segment. I think his skill set matches Dana a lot better than Dylan and what they're doing in this offense. But one thing was just reiterated to me watching that game on Saturday night, and that's a USC team that's loaded with talent. That Nebraska did some good things to slow down USC, but at the end of the day, when their guys needed to make a play, they made a play. Dylan going out of the game was a factor because the game changed considerably, but also some guys got to make plays, and that includes TJ Lateef. Yeah, you can't fumble the ball. I mean, he fumbled the ball a couple of times, but one thing that is a little bit concerning to me moving forward, with all the progress they have made, is I don't know if Nebraska, with their current makeup from the head coach on down, can win a football game when they don't have more talent. Because this is, I am plagued by a couple of things. I tweeted this at you as I was driving home about 1:00 on Saturday night into Sunday morning. The third quarter is a thing that persists. And the third quarter to me, and it's a third quarter that had a key decision in it and had a key injury in it. But the third quarter, Saturday night, was an opportunity for Nebraska to show everybody who they were. They were up 14-6. They got the ball to begin the third quarter. And if they would have put points on the board, even a Cunanan field goal, you force USC to throw the ball. And Maeva did not throw a lot of catchable balls. Sierra Wright was latched on to Lemon. Marshall had a good night outside of one play, but for the most part, the back end was good. And USC's passing game wasn't very good. Guys were dropping the ball. Maeva was throwing behind him. If you would have just put some points, any points on the board, even to go up 17-6, you force USC into a situation where they have to throw the ball. And instead, and USC wasn't great in the third quarter. The third quarter was just a jumbled mess on both sides. Interceptions, fumbles, downs, missed field goals, that kind of stuff. But I look at Nebraska, and if they don't have more talent, they are not equipped right now to expose the other team's weaknesses and tendencies and hammer them and take advantage of them. And that's not a good thing, because once they realized they were in a talent deficit without their quarterback, nothing really changed. They didn't adapt and adjust, and USC did a good job of adapting and adjusting and catching Nebraska in situations where they could exploit. And that's the deflating. That now shifts to the frustrating part of that's a familiar theme in games like this where Nebraska loses, where they don't have as much talent, but how come they can't make it up with coaching decisions?
How many times this season has the defense forced the other team off the field and Nebraska had a lead, and you were like, all right, go score here. Like, go ahead and put 7 here and take control of this game. Go ahead and get some momentum. And they fail. And they just failed to do that. Like, it's been multiple times this year where they have a 10-point lead or a 14-point lead and the ball. And it's just like, all right, like, even you talk about the third quarter, let's go back to the first 2 quarters, right? You score on the first drive, then you force them to have a field goal, and you're like, all right, you have this incredible crowd, you have all this momentum, you have everybody cheering at the top of their lungs, like, you have a capable offense, like, go and get points here and continue, like, to get this crowd into it, continue this momentum, continue, like have a party in Memorial Stadium. And they're unable to do that. And it's like the third quarter, like everything that was a problem in the USC game has been a problem throughout the entirety of the year. Yeah. And they've just been unable to fix any of it. And that's just frustrating. Fix one of them. Fix one of the things is all I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know during the course of the season if, and the run defense is a problem. Guys just lost simple one-on-one battles. I also give credit. King Miller was really good. I mean, when he needed to get skinny in a hole, he got skinny, and they didn't overthink it. But the part of it's now 9 games in, and a thing that still lingers is Nebraska on offense has no identity, and there needs to be a Dana conversation. Nebraska is not getting, and this may not be a Dana fault because we don't know the inner workings, but we need to start asking some hard questions. Is Nebraska is getting nowhere near their investment on getting Dana Holgorsen as their offensive coordinator. They've gone 3 straight games where they've been under 300 yards in offense, 4 of the last 5, but they don't have an identity. They had an identity on the opening drive where they went 14 plays, 75 yards. They took 7 off the clock, and they were willing to run the ball on third down, like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. And then the next 2 series where you started to let some of that helium out of that black balloon is what is Nebraska wanting to do offensively? Is Dana Holgorsen in charge of the Rule Satterfield offense 2.0? Because I thing about Dana is he had and we're way past the conversation of it's not the air raid, but you know what? Where is the Dana Holgorsen creativity? Where is the pin and pull? Where is the mesh? Where is some of those things in the run game without a mobile quarterback that you can utilize that catches other teams off guard? I don't see that at all. Basically, Nebraska's offense has become Emmett, go make a play. Well, Emmett, pull one out of your ass. Emmett, try and be slippery as wet all the way down the field. And man, we're 9 games in. And how can that be one of your major identities of this no identity offense? The Dana thing isn't working out right now. And I don't know if it's fully his fault, but someone needs to come forward. Because shotgun 4th and 1 in the red zone, what the hell?
What I don't get, Gary, though, is that you mention it in the first drive. You're like, all right, this is what this could look like, right? They're getting ahead of the sticks on first down. They're opening up the menu on second down. They are able to get to 3rd and manageable and convert these 3rd downs. Like, that's in game, we see it.
Yeah.
And then where does it go? It just disappears.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the USC makes some adjustments, but I'm talking, and I know where you're going here.
Yeah,
it's Nebraska doesn't do a lot of adapting, adjusting during the course of a game. And I thought that would be a strength of Dana.
But you talk about the creativity. Like I don't like the creativity on the long passing game, right? Like they threw three fates on that first drive, and one of them was completed. Where are the throws down the middle? Where are the 15-yard like in cuts? Where is like you talk about mesh? I would love to see them, hey, check into something like that when they know that they're in man and they can get something like that. Like I don't know. I see the makings of what the offense can be on some drives, and then it's 3rd and 10, and they decide to run a zone read, and then Dylan pulls it, and you're like, what is that? And then there's a 3rd and 8, and you're like, you're playing the field positioning game against the number 1 offense in the country, who at any moment can just go and hit their head on the goalpost like that. That 2nd and 3rd drive didn't make any sense to me in terms of 3rd down decision making.
And they're a little, and so things start hampering you, and you have to adjust. Nebraska the last 2 games has gotten the ball out quicker.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, the offensive line has given up 2 sacks in the last 2 games, and they both have resulted in season-ending injuries. Teddy Prohaska and Dylan Raiola.
That's a great.
And they're also the part of the Dylan, by the way. It's legal in college, but man, they got to figure it out. That hip drop tackle, that's awful. That is an awful tackle, and that's what happened to Dylan. But you look at, you brought up, and I'm with you, is the middle of the field is an area where I think Nebraska can do some work, and they could have done work. Like Lindenmeyer was paying rent in the middle of the field. Yeah. But if you're getting the ball out quick, and there is no deep ball part of this offense, there just isn't. I mean, just shelve that. Neither quarterback was great with the deep ball, except for the flea flicker. But Nebraska's offense doesn't have a deep ball threat. Also, Nebraska from the hashes of the boundary aren't as successful. So, yeah, that middle, they tried to run with Latif to Barney a middle screen, and that's the Latif 7-yard the wide receivers, the wide receivers might have been good downfield blocking, but the wide receivers were not good at getting separation again. And that's happened against really good Big Ten cornerbacks.
Gary, you bring it up, and the guy that I thought when you said the middle of the field was Lindenmeyer, but it's not as if they're getting Lindenmeyer on the move. It's he's getting to the middle of the field and just sitting down, and then he's got to turn around and then run. I want them to hit the middle of the field with somebody actually moving, actually having some momentum, and like they have some speed on this offense in Hunter, or maybe even a guy like Cortez Mills, where it's just like they don't really utilize it. And like they don't get these guys like going on the run unless they have this, a line of scrimmage screen game, but you can only rely on that so much. And then when Latif came into the game, USC just goes, all right, we're going to bring everybody up to the line because we know that you can't push this ball down the field. And then that really messed them up. So I don't know. It's their inability to take the top off the defense that's frustrating, but it's even the inability to just get guys catching the ball on the run that frustrates the crap out of them.
Well, they can't. The wide receivers aren't able to get free. The wide receiver production was way down.
Yeah,
Barney is and he's on a bad wheel, but his he hasn't been a factor in the punt return game for the last couple of weeks. He hasn't been a factor in the wide receiver game. They've tried to get him involved, but with all of this said, now as they move to UCLA, and then we're trying to figure out this offense because you don't know if what the status of Pritchett is either.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I'm very intrigued by what's going to happen next because I think the skill set of Latif with a full week of preparation where they sit down and go, what are you comfortable with?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to run out of the playbook. Instead of throwing the whole playbook at him, they'll say, what are you comfortable with? And then let's rep that and let's find a way to tweak it and give us as many options as possible. I think, Matt, Dana's skill set, Dana's skill set will be matched with TJ Latif's skill set in a little bit better way. Now, I'm not saying that TJ is not Dylan. That's not going to happen. But I think in terms of what they add to the offense that they haven't had in terms of the feet of a quarterback, because if you go back to Saturday night, here's the frustrating thing about Latif. And again, he was thrown into the fire, but he's also got to make plays. You're on scholarship here. I know you haven't played in the game in a while. Yeah. And I know that and Dylan does some things with coverage calls and stuff that you aren't equipped to do, and your time with the number ones isn't like Dylan, and also guys you were all of a sudden playing with that you don't normally rep with in practice. Okay, so you're not familiar with Emmett, where he likes the ball in the gut, those kind of things.
Sure. Good point.
But I think with, if I look at Saturday night, there were times on the RPO where if Latif would have kept it instead of the automatic keep it with Emmett, Latif's got some room to run. So if they see those things, and UCLA now has a little bit of film, I'm not doom and gloom. I know it's going to be really, really rough, but the skill set of Latif with what Dana has done in the past with guys that have that kind of skill set, I think they can squeeze enough to at least move the ball and then say, Emmett, just can you be Superman?
Sure. The only thing I hesitate with, Gary, and the reason I said wow, by the way, was because your body language was like you are really not excited, but you really, really believe it.
Look at, for example, we all know that I'm faster than Dylan. Okay. That might be a little bit of a reach because it's Monday. It's overreaction Monday. But look at a guy like Maeva. Maeva doesn't strike you as a guy that's going to burn a 40 up.
No.
But he's a smart runner. He knew when to run. They also had a play caller that picked and chose Maeva's spots to run. And when he ran, it almost, Matt, looked like Nebraska didn't know that the quarterback had the football.
Sure. But the thing is, I thought Dylan rolling to the right was his best attribute. I thought him rolling to the right and him throwing it was some of the best things that he did. And they just didn't really call it. Like throughout the year, they call it like once or twice a game. And so I'm hesitant to think that, hey, because TJ is in here, now they're going to get him rolling right, or they're going to get him moving, and they're going to get him doing, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
the passing stuff is a whole different story.
That's a whole.
I'm talking just the option. Just the ability with your feet to also put it in the back of a defensive coordinator's mind that you have a quarterback that, if need be, when they run that little zone read, that instead of 21 going to touch it every time, it's going to be a quarterback possibly.
I'm cool with that as long as it opens up opportunities in the pass game, because I just don't think that this offensive line is built to be like Iowa, where you can have a running quarterback back there with a capable running back and you can just pound it in different ways with whether it be the QB or the RB. I still think that I'm worried about the passing game. I'm very worried about it. Like I'm not saying that you're saying you can abandon it, but I think that this run game with Latif has to be incredibly dynamic in order to open up the pass game and give him some easier throws. And I don't know how dynamic it can be. I think it could be good, but I just don't really know.
Doesn't it feel like a lot of short stuff, short, quick?
But
until you get a guy comfortable.
Okay, Gary, though, if you're going to do a lot of the short stuff, right, and you're going to run the ball a lot, that means that you're going to have 12, 13, 14 play drives, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I trust this team to run 14 plays in a row without making some sort of mistake. Like, I don't know if I trust this team to do that and not have a holding call, or not have a false start, or not give up a sack, or just not, get themselves behind the sticks. I just don't think it just worries me when you don't have any sort of explosivity down the field. And this isn't just a like Latif conversation. This is like, even when Dylan was in, they lacked that as well. And so that's what I think a big part of the problem has been for this.
I think, though, the one thing about Latif, and I mean, UCLA is going to shorten the game. They're going to run the ball. They have a week to self-scout Nebraska, which, USC did a really good job of scouting Nebraska. I think we need to look at Latif as he's playing the UCLA game. Yeah, he's playing the rest of the year, but remember, they have a bye week after UCLA.
Sure.
So what they're going to do with Latif is to win against UCLA. And then they've got a full week and then another week of prep for Penn State to maybe add some stuff. I think they spend the week just working on a Latif game plan to beat UCLA. And here's another thing. I know that the Dylan news yesterday, well, the Dylan injury, and you see it, you're thinking the worst, and then it's confirmed yesterday. Good programs find a way to overcome this.
Well,
I mean, they don't crater. They don't all of a sudden go 6-6. They may not go 9-3, but they don't go 6-6. Good programs don't do that because good programs realize that now you're on to your backup, and he's a backup for a reason, that you as an individual will play better. So good programs find a way to overcome this, and knowing that it's not just a week thing, but it's going to be the rest of the season, I'm curious to see how these guys react. But I'd be disappointed if they just laid a crater and we wake up on Saturday after Black Friday in Nebraska 6-6.
But you talking about Saturday specifically. You said, somebody's got to go out and make a play. Even when Dylan gets hurt, somebody has to go out and make a play. Your lips to God's ears, because I said that after BROR and I got some slack for it. Look, it's not, the team is just not one guy. It's just not Dylan. You have had 3 years now to bring in all the guys that you want to bring in, to evaluate all the guys that you have on this program. Somebody in some way, shape, or form on Saturday should have been able to buck up and be like, what? I'm going to go and make this play. I'm going to go and get a fumble recovery. I'm going to go and get a pick. I'm going to go and take this ball and I'm going to, have an explosive play. Somebody should have been able to do that at this point in this program. And that was really, really disappointing. And if that happens over the next 3 weeks, I think that is a referendum in and of itself on Matt Rule in this program. Because you can't, you have to be, it's not as if all the starters are down. It's not as if all the key players that you've invested the resources in player development are down. You still should be able to have some dudes who just, you put the ball in their hands or they're playing defense and they go ahead and they go, you know what, I'm going to make this play. I'm going to be big in this moment. And they didn't have that. And it was frustrating.
Yeah. I think it was headsets and helmets that from the injury on that got in the way of Nebraska.
Go ahead. Well, I'm going to say this. You did a great job. You had a Hall of Fame tweet about when the Nebraska had 3 guys down, USC would run the ball. And then when they had 4
I think I said, by the way, I said box. I meant front. But Bishop was next to me. He was talking about the box.
You're totally right in that regard. And then I even think the headsets, I think John Butler caught on to what you saw, because then they started doing no, I'm being serious. Because then they started doing some interesting things where they would go in a 4-man front, but then drop off and drop a bunch of guys back. And then they're advantageous in terms of, hey, how they're playing pass defense. And then they did some things where they had 3 guys down and then they brought pressure because they knew that they were going to run the ball. And so it was
USC did a really good job of spreading Nebraska out.
But hey, your point, in the second half though, USC adjusted that and they started becoming more like you said, spread them out and become more multiple. And then those 2 touchdown drives in the second half, I don't think Nebraska adjusted to their adjustment to that. And they started trying to do something.
And that goes back to how we started this, is if Nebraska is not the more talented team, can they win a football game?
They haven't done it.
No. We've got lots to discuss. You got the lineup. Evan Bland, Wilson Moore is going to join us. The opening day of college basketball split show. I'm in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is above Nebraska. Matt is in Omaha with Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm under South Dakota.
Yeah.
You hate that so much. It is. I'm under you.
Such a.
Sounds terrible.
Hey. I've been around 18 to 23-year-olds in the last 24 hours. 6'7".
Hey, you're around a 23-year-old every single day.
That is true, but you're not 7'1".
No, I'm 5'10".
He's a tall guy. He is all of 7'1" on Omaha's roster. Chris Richardson.
He looks like a dude.
Yeah, we'll see. They play today against Murray State. All right, you can join the fun and frivolity of for some of us, a victory Monday. But UCLA is ahead. Matt Rule will speak a little bit later today. Nebraska is an underdog. That line flipped after the news of Dylan out in the Rose Bowl. Late night, 8 p.m. on Big Fox. People are excited to get back on Big Fox, right? Let's go.
People are excited to get back on Big Red Overreaction. Swear, cuss, drop S-bombs. GDs.
Welcome to the life of a Nebraska football fan.
I know. It was something.
402-951-1620. That's the number to get in all morning long on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more.
Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone.
Fall's here, and just like your favorite football team, your home needs a strong defense. Don't let a broken furnace cost you more than a free agent signing. Skransky Heating and Cooling has kept Omaha homes like yours comfortable. Their playbook? A fast, reliable furnace system check that keeps your home warm, safe, and game day ready. Call Skransky Heating and Cooling today and schedule your furnace check before the cold takes the field. Get details at heatomaha.com. Skransky, your home comfort MVP.
The Zone Hotline is powered by Prairie Flower Casino. Play longer, win more.
Some people just know you can save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the weather first, before wearing face paint to the game.
Bro, your Go Cats is dripping into your nachos.
Oh, and now paint is in my eyes.
Interception! Did you see that?
No!
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first and see what you could save. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Potential savings vary, including based on how you buy, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate North American Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Nebraska Veterans Aid is here for veterans and dependents facing unforeseen financial emergencies. Get assistance with food, fuel, shelter, clothing, transportation, and even funeral and medical expenses. If you're a veteran facing a financial emergency, apply for Nebraska Veterans Aid. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/NVA. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Deciding on a college with your high school senior can be a little overwhelming for parents. But applying for money to pay for it is simple. FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, is now easier than ever with fewer questions and faster fill-out times. If you have a high school senior, now is the time to apply for thousands of dollars for classes, books, and housing. Get started, Nebraska, at dothefafsa.org. Sponsored by Education Quest Foundation. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You know, you could prolong the life of your garage door with preventative maintenance. How? Give Langfeld Overhead Door a call and schedule a garage door checkup. They'll inspect all your hardware, springs, cables, rollers, hinges, opener, even lube the door. You see, Langfeld Overhead Door doesn't take a back seat to anyone when it comes to their service. Because if something goes wrong, it's their name on the line. So they're going to make sure it goes right every single time. Langfeld Overhead Door, 402-234-2700.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zipline gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Got an idea for a barn, hobby building, or garage that's unique to you? At Gingrich Structures, your Gingrich Pro is your partner in making it real. No cookie cutter plans here. We shape rugged outdoor buildings, livestock barns, and custom garages to fit your lifestyle. Built with Midwest toughness to last. Make your ideas happen. Head to GingrichStructures.com, punch in your zip code, and meet your local Gingrich Pro for a free consultation. That's GingerICHStructures.com.
Gary and Matt are back on 1620 The Zone.
Did you change hats?
No, I didn't change hats.
Oh, I thought you were wearing a different hat.
No. This is no. Why no? That'd be funny.
I don't know if you were messing with me this morning.
No,
Yeah,
didn't you?
I
do
didn't know
that
if you
to
were
me
messing
one
with
time?
me.
I had no clue until like 8:30, and I was like, "Why do you have a different hat on?" No, this is T Woods. I have to stop thinking about what people say about me too much because
it's got deep.
I have
Yes, deep
I have
before 7. Let me pour another espresso here.
Hey, our boy was here early today, so he needs
I was
credit
here
here.
at 5:20 today.
Yeah.
That's a lie. I was here at 5:35. I
Still-
don't know why I
still,
said that.
yeah,
Still
don't
lying
lie.
on air.
I have a lot of hats. A lot of hats. A lot of cool hats.
People forget.
And I wear only like 6 of them because you have like peer pressured me into feeling bad about wearing hats that aren't my own team. And so I
Surprised you
have
didn't wear a Dodger hat in this morning.
well, I had literally on Big Red Overreaction, I had a Yankee hat on in the car, and then I left the car and I left the Yankee hat in the car and picked up another hat that was in my car and put that on because I was like, I know I'm going to get a lot of crap if I'm wearing a Yankee hat. And I just at this point, like I look at my hat wall and I'm like, man, I got so many of like good looking hats that I just don't wear because Gary makes fun of me. I got to stop thinking about that. I just got to wear them.
I want to see these.
Yeah.
There's,
All right.
I mean, you've seen most of them, but like I have some cool Philadelphia Eagles stuff that I won't wear out of respect for you and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, why don't you wear it this morning? Because the trade deadline is tomorrow in the NFL, and it might be busy. Miami has just traded Jalen Phillips to the Eagles for a 26th third-round pick. So the Eagles have been active in the trade market with the trade deadline tomorrow. There's a lot of teams that feel like they could win a Super Bowl, and they're one player away.
It's going to be interesting.
Kind of good.
It's going to be interesting to see how this trade deadline works out because if you look at some of the pay structures, it seems like there's been a second kind of quarterback position in terms of when you have those guys, you just don't get rid of them, and that's defensive ends. And there are plenty of defensive ends on bad teams that I'm sure some people would love to trade for. But I think that those teams might be like, no, when you have them, you don't get rid of them, a lot like a franchise quarterback. And so the guys I'm talking about are Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, and Trey Hendrickson. Hendrickson didn't play yesterday because of injury, but it'll be interesting to see if any 3 of those guys get dealt. I don't think they will. I think the Bengals and Browns and Raiders are going to say, nope, we know that no matter how much we get in draft capital, we're going to be lucky if we get a guy who could impact the quarterback like the guy that we currently have. So that'll be something that we watch.
First email of the morning into the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. This is from Joey. He said, the wave of emotions. Yeah, I know so many people like that. Folks that predicted a loss by double digits are crying because they lost by 4, and some are saying Dylan got himself hurt. I had to check a few group chats when I heard that. Okay, hold on here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have not heard. So my biggest thing with, again, it's a hip drop tackle. This is so.
That's what got Cam.
This is so Nebraska football. Is the offensive line shores things up? Yeah, they get the ball out quicker, but they've allowed the last 2 sacks have led to 2 season-ending injuries, and the game ended like that on Saturday with Emmett Johnson on 4th and 1 stumbling. So I don't believe in curses. I believe that you're either good or you're bad, and you find a way to be good or you find a way to be bad. But there is part of me, and this is completely opposite of what I'm like, is that there might be just the damn fact that Nebraska is snake bitten. If you look at some of the stuff bad teams do, but there are some things like, how do you lose your quarterback and your tackle almost like back-to-back plays?
Yeah.
Okay. In a game like that where you're up and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be the moment. The stadium is all black. People are fired up. The light show is right around the corner. Here we go. I mean, there's stuff that happens that you create and you're like, yeah, Nebraska deserves it. And then there's other things that you can't make up. You just can't simply make up. So the only thing about the Dylan injury, and it's a hip drop tackle, it looks terrible, is you still have to hold on to the football. When you first got touched, he's got to secure the football because you knew the pocket was collapsing because you were fading into more traffic. The most important thing, hey, I'm going to take the sack, but I got to hold on to that football because, Matt, look at this. Okay, Dylan gets hurt. That sucks. But Nebraska doesn't turn the football over and they still have the football.
and you at least kick a field goal or something, or like run or give it to Emmett. You're totally right. Like,
So so you guys got it on the show that Dylan got himself hurt?
No.
Okay.
So the person emailing talking about he had some group chats. I also was in a group chat that people were like,
Joey was like,
well, I love it. I love it when people who like have never played varsity high school sports expects a guy to when 6'5" gigantic men who are just incredibly athletic are bearing down on you, that they just look at the screen and they're like, he's got to step up in the pocket 1 second quicker. Like that's tough. That's hard. Like I don't know. So that's why I don't entertain that conversation, but I'll entertain this conversation. You can't have a pressure to sack percentage of over 30% and expect yourself not to get hurt. Like that is the number one thing. You cannot be the worst quarterback in the country in evading pressure and not in the back of your head think, oh, this is dangerous, right? Because that's what this has been. When people pressure Dylan is is going to get sacked at a higher rate than anybody else in the country. And that is because a couple of things, because of his immobility, because of at times his lack of ability to maneuver the pocket. That's because he refuses to throw the ball out of bounds. There's many factors that go into it. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like, I don't want to say I don't want to say we should have seen this coming. That's that's BS. But when you have a quarterback who has been taking as much punishment as he's been taking this year and has been sacked over 25 times, this is the risk that comes with it. And unfortunately, it came on just a terrible, terrible play on a terrible hip drop tackle. But sometimes when you put yourself in the situations, you get a bunch of dummies trying to bring you down, and a dummy did something dangerous to him. He got hurt.
On that season-ending play,
yeah,
I think Nebraska had 7 guys blocking. Yeah.
It's just now you don't believe in curses?
I try not to. Okay, I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe
you
in
do believe in
curses.
ghosts. You said
I'm not really superstitious. I go and look at ghosts, but I don't believe in them. If that makes sense.
How can you no? That makes zero sense. How can you go and look at a ghost and not?
I'm not pursuing the ghost. I just like to look at the ghosts.
They pursue you.
Yeah, I don't believe in ghosts. Like I don't think this hotel is haunted.
Hey, I got a question.
I could go to the Pfister in Milwaukee and I would be like, come on, ghosts, bring it on.
That's a great hotel.
It is a great hotel, but everybody says it's haunted.
It's not haunted.
No, I don't believe in curses, but there are some times where I have to stop and go, snake bitten. But good football gets good results. Yeah. Bad football gets bad results. That's usually at the end of the day. That's the bottom line.
Well, and also too, I mean, just the team that makes the plays in the biggest moments ends up winning the game. And it just seems like they've just been unable against the teams that are more talented than them to make those big plays in those moments. Real quick, I got a question for you. Have you ever heard of hiking them off sides? The term hike them, like if I were to say
like to fake a hike,
like they were drawing them off sides, but instead of saying drawing them off sides, like hiking them off sides. You ever heard of that? If I said hike them off sides, you would know what I'm right.
Is this what they're talking about?
Would you think I'm not a ball knower if I said hike them off sides?
It's not a really common phrase.
Okay. You clearly don't know what I'm talking about. Somebody I said hike them off sides on Big Red Overreaction, and somebody called in and they flipped their crap.
What set them off?
They got really that's what I said. No, not the game. They got really, really mad, like really, really, really mad at me for saying hike them off side. And they cursed on the air. They said the S word
for that.
They were so
you don't hear it very often.
But I mean the guy was a doofus.
Hey, I would curse at you for this.
Oh, cursing me for this?
And I don't have any more Big Red Overreaction, so it doesn't pertain to me. This pertains to the other 4 people that do Big Red Overreaction, and I hope they're listening because I know one of them is because he's with me today. Y'all got to stop and get rid of this Duke's Mayo Bowl guy.
No,
that bit was funny the 2 times. That guy's a friggin' clown, okay? The more that you guys allow him on the air, the more that program takes a step back, okay? It was funny the first 2 times. Now it's gotten stupid, okay? The guy, hey, call Big Red Reaction. His name's Matt Coatney. Take your act over there. It was good for a couple of weeks. All right. Now it's just like it's old. Okay.
We'll have to film
and you're Brad or whatever the hell your name is. It's old. It's stupid. Okay. Let's let better callers on the air on Big Red Overreaction and get the stupid Duke's Mayo. I'm a fake guy, whatever, fake promo code. And I got Matt going, hey, that sounds like a good deal. He keeps adding to it. No, you keep adding to him. Stop that guy. Get him off the air. Quit calling Big Red Overreaction or come with a different shtick. The first 2 weeks I laughed. The third week I thought this is stupid. And every time I turned into Big Red Overreaction driving back from Lincoln, I hear this guy get on the air and go, this is Brad from representing in Charlotte, North Carolina.
He represents the Chamber of Commerce in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Get rid of the guy.
Well, first off, the only person that hates that guy more than you is Peter Krenzer, who was running the phones, and he was determined to not allow him.
So he faked him out.
He faked them out.
Yeah, we got a lot of fake namers that are on Big Red Overreaction. Now, some of them are kind of funny because I know what their real name is, and they're calling. And their name during the week is different than it is on the weekend,
which makes no sense to me.
I'm okay with that. But the Duke's Mayo Bow guy, all right, go away. Okay, Big Red Reaction. There's a lot of other post game shows to call and run your shtick. It got old around here, and you know what? Nebraska's going to the Vegas Bowl now.
Yeah, I mean, they still got to win some games. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you.
They have the sphere.
They got to get at least one, maybe two. I mean, I'm not thinking.
Hey, I'm telling you. No. If this season craters in Nebraska, we wake up on Saturday morning 6-6 after the Iowa game, and that Iowa game is going to be extremely difficult. So will Penn State. So will UCLA. If Nebraska finishes with no wins in November, that 5 months of darkness isn't just going to be because the sun goes down at 5. I'm telling you. Just be prepared.
It'll be terrible. It will be awful. And
then you'd have a football coach that is 1-11 in the month of November, and you got a guy across the river that Kirk Ferentz since 19 is 21-3, getting ready to play Oregon. That's not a way to move a program forward.
No, and by the way, that coach would have gotten a 2-year extension before he ended the season.
All right,
which is even worse look.
All right, hour in the book. Victory Monday rolls on after this. A little bit later, Evan Bland stops by with his thoughts on Saturday night, how things kind of changed with the news yesterday, the visual of Saturday night, what's ahead for Latif. By the way, going home. Good storyline. It's a good storyline.
Compton stand up.
And we will talk to Wilson Moore from the Omaha World Herald. Nebraska basketball tonight against West Georgia. The basketball season is here. I'm in Sioux Falls. Matt's in Omaha, and we're back with more after this.
Hound dog couldn't find a treat. I'm a bad boy. Dog player.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Plum Right Time Saving Traffic Center. Pretty quiet start to this Monday morning in the Omaha Metro. There's no accidents to report. Just something to keep in mind. Traffic's picking up on North JFK from F to I-80. Same thing could be said for South North Freeway going from Cumming to I-480. Everything else seems to be smooth sailing for the time being, but if that changes, I'll keep you updated throughout the rest of the morning once traffic starts picking up. Be sure to buckle up, drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Plum Right.
If your old water heater is on its last legs, don't wait. Plum Right makes it easy to trade in your old water heater by offering $1,000 off your new one. Change out your old water heater today and get it done right with Plum Right.
Brent Rasmussen of Mortgage Specialists. Here's some good news. Home interest rates are coming down. The bad news? Sometimes if you refinance your home for a lower interest rate, closing costs can be through the roof. So, lower costs on the front end, hidden higher costs on the back end. We're talking thousands, sometimes up to $10,000. Ouch, that's a huge hit. If you're getting more than a few calls from lenders with offers to refinance, give Mortgage Specialists a call. We can help you by looking into all the costs, up or down. Then you can make a better informed decision whether you want to refinance or keep your current interest rate. I'm Brent Rasmussen. Call me at Mortgage Specialists and we can show you all the details. Mortgage Specialists, driven, trusted, reliable.
Click mtg-specialists.com. NMLS number 5918, Equal Housing Lender.
Husker Review Monday is powered by McInnes Roofing and Sheet Metal. Looking for trusted experts to protect and enhance your home or business? We are McInnes, Nebraska and Iowa's go-to choice since 1981. For commercial or residential projects, trust McInnes Roofing and Sheet Metal. Visit McInnesInc.com today.
I'm Scott Hansen, host of NFL Red Zone. Lowe's knows Sundays hit different when you earn them. We've got you covered with outdoor power equipment from Cobalt and everything you need to weatherproof your deck with Trex decking. Plus, with lawn care from Scott's and, of course, Pit Boss grills and accessories, you can get a home field advantage all season long. So get to Lowe's, get it done, and earn your Sunday. Lowe's, official partner of the NFL.
Now that I'm a dad, I can't stop thinking about what would happen to my kids if something happened to me, like losing the house or not affording college.
Yeah, that used to keep me up at night too. It's why I finally got life insurance from Ethos. It's 100% online. No medical exams, just a few health questions. I got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day.
I never realized it was that simple. Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game.
Rates may vary. Bill monthly. Sample rate 10-year term life policy for a 35-year-old healthy non-smoking male.
We know exactly what you're not thinking about right now. Wiper blades. But now that you are, take a moment to think about how Rain-X is the #1 brand of wiper blades in America. Why? Because Rain-X thinks about wiper blades all the time. We obsess, so you don't have to. Simply install our blades and then think about literally anything else. So choose Rain-X, America's #1 wiper blades, and then go back to not thinking about wiper blades. Rain-X. Outsmart the elements.
KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620, The Zone. And we're back. Gary and Matt on 1620, The Zone.
All right, the sun has come up. The sun up in Omaha?
It's waking up.
Yeah, barely. It's coming over the. I don't know. There's
You're
no
looking in the wrong
hills or
direction.
mountains out here, so it's just coming up. It's peeking over the trees, but it's still a little dark.
Whoa.
Oh, we lost him.
You made him mad.
No, not yet. It takes longer than that. Where'd he go?
Yeah.
I think he just crapped out.
Up.
He's back.
Yeah, sorry about that.
What happened?
You know what? So the microphone that I use periodically will shift back to the default setting.
Oh,
and so I lose you guys.
You know
So
what? It was
I
a little
apologize for that.
echoey for a
Yeah.
second, and now it's back to being nice. That's a nice mic.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
You
Very
like my
welcome.
microphone.
I love it.
We wake up on the 4th straight Monday with a major college coach fired. Hugh Freeze out yesterday.
Congratulations.
They're possibly headed to the 3rd straight losing season at Auburn. I thought it was funny and on brand that people were on to that his time at Auburn was done because his 10:30 standing tee time had been canceled, which, I mean, now he's going to have a lot of time to play golf. But as now another, pretty good job opens up.
Yeah.
Are there enough coaches out there, like quality coaches, to take over all these really good jobs that are open, and then maybe may come open in the next month?
I can't wait to see Lane Kiffin coach 3 teams next year. I mean,
I thought it was 4.
That's going to be awesome. I mean, he's going to be the head coach of Florida, Auburn, Ole Miss, and LSU all at once. Bring in that money, Lane. I mean, he's going to be able to be vacationing with Bezos after all the buyout money that he might get on these deals. It's going to be. I mean, seriously, if you go SEC Twitter already is incredible. You made like a Twitter list when I that you added me to, and so I've been able to be indoctrinated in what SEC Twitter looks like, and it's fantastic and it's funny. It is a hellhole right now with all these 4 teams being like, no, we're going to get Lane. No, we're going to get Lane. No, we're going to get Lane. And then you got Georgia and Alabama just laughing their asses off at them, being like, you guys are a bunch of losers. It doesn't matter. So,
You know though in coaching, so Matt Rule, for example.
Yeah.
And I'll even use Steve Sarkisian. It is razor thin on how we think about coaches. Because look at Rule. They're 6-2.
Yeah.
Gets a contract extension.
Mm-hmm.
Weird discussion for a couple of days. Weird discussion, by the way, Saturday night for yours truly in Lincoln.
Yeah, I'm sure.
then you lose 6-3, or you're 6-3, and you lose another ranked game. And, all the facts are out there about inability to win big ball games. So Rule goes from, all right, 6-2, got an extension, stability, going to be here, loves being here. Penn State fans are happier than Nebraska fans, but oh God, 6-3, they might be 6-6. Dylan is out. Look at Sarkisian. Look at like a couple of weeks ago. And all of a sudden, they've won 4 in a row. They just beat Vanderbilt in an I'm using your word, incredible game. And people are back on Sark, like, oh my God, they can go to the playoff.
Well,
you know what? They're going to go between the hedges, and they're going to win. It's so in college football coaching, and maybe in coaching in general, but it just seemed like in college football coaching, you're razor thin from week to week. That's why I try to be very hesitant about not every week is a referendum, but I get it. We're fanatics for a reason, and you overreact or you underreact to week by week.
Well, I remember Florida State beats Bama, and everyone's like, oh my God, FSU's back, and Alabama, that job is going to be open, and Kalen DeBoer, he's not the guy, and you wonder if Saban's going to come back, and will they try and go? Like, there was a whole week convo on national college football about what is it going to look like when a job is open in Tuscaloosa, and now the Alabama Crimson Tide look like one of the 4 teams that can actually win a title. Like, that's just how this works. Like, we are in a business with a bunch of smart people who have watched this product for years and years and years, and yet we don't grapple with the fact that teams can get better and teams can get a lot worse, like throughout the entirety of the season. And that's really where that dawns from. It's like we watch one game and we think, oh, that's what that team is for the rest of the year. Henceforth, why Nebraska beats Cincinnati, then everybody's like, oh, Cincinnati not going to be that good this year. And then granted, they lost to Utah, but I mean, they're still in the conversation to be in the Big 12 championship game.
A couple of tweets here. We got a lot of activity in the chat room, also on Twitter and email as well. Jake says, being excited for Latif, there is no hope. I pointed out that the skill set that Latif has with Dana for a week of prep, don't all of a sudden be all doom and gloom. And it's just for this week. And then you got a bye week and you figure it out for the last 2 games. It's just, there's a skill set you can work with. And if Dana is who we think Dana is, and my God grabs any semblance of creativity, because whose offense is this? There has to be creativity. Then this may actually be able to move the ball and not just be handed off to 21 and hope that he's able to bust a play. So that's where I'm like cautioning. It's not just all of a sudden doom and gloom. He's not Dylan. There's a reason he wasn't starting. And now we got to get into the discussion of the Teefies who are not real happy because Dylan is out, but yet they wanted TJ to give Dylan a rest and maybe play. It's this friggin' discussion around this football program, but that's later in the show.
Here's what I want. This is what I want. Now that Dylan's out and they have a backup quarterback that is limited, okay, in passing the football, or I don't want to say limited, isn't as good of a passer as Dylan Raiola is. Here's what I want. I want Dana to do this. He goes, give me the note cards and give me a pen. Okay. And just let me do this. Okay. Let me just come up with these plays and these concepts and these schemes for this. Because I never really understood the whole, well, it's still Satterfield's offense and it's still his plays and it's still everything they were doing. It's just Dana has gone ahead and now he's the one calling it. Because Dylan is now out and TJ does not have the same skill set as Dylan, you should not run the same exact offense you were running. You should give Dana a pen and give him all the note cards and just say, make the offense. Make it, figure it out. It does not matter what you do, just as long as we're able to learn it and we're able to execute it and it goes towards his strengths. Figure it out. You're the guy.
The offense when he played his 2 extended periods of time, the offense was a little bit different. They ran some 2-back set.
Yeah.
I don't think all of a sudden Mosey and Emmett are going to be in the backfield, but the offense was a little bit different. I think the biggest thing, and this was number 1 in my book on Saturday night when he came in, there are checks that Dylan does because he was starting his 22nd game that he does that Latif is just not built for. So that kind of took a lot of your playbook out to, I'm sure Nebraska, when they were calling plays, it was just a 1-option play. what they've done with Dylan is he's got 2 or 3 options off a play. So there's where it looked like all of a sudden everything was condensed. All right, let's start the hour here. Hour number 2 of Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone with Tony on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Good morning, Tony. Thanks for the call.
Tony.
Tony had a good call too. Tony said there was a victory Saturday. I wanted
Omaha hockey swept Colorado College. Nebraska volleyball is a wagon. Creighton played a wild match at Sokol on Saturday night to rally down 2-1 against Marquette. Ava Martin was great. What else do you want to know on Victory Monday?
How did the Bulls do yesterday? Terrible.
They lost for the first time, and Oklahoma City is 7-0, but that's okay. T-Rob on Twitter. So the Dylan tackle, the hip drop that fractured his fibula. And something I learned yesterday, not staying in a Holiday Inn, instead staying in a Hilton property, is that do you know that the fibula only has 10% of your weight-bearing body? So because people were like, "What? How was Dylan able to walk?" You can walk. Yeah, you just can't,
run.
Do normal things. But T-Rob says
Dylan probably goes from walking to waddling because
Well, hey,
doesn't do a whole
credit. You want to come back into the football game, but
I give him a ton. I think by the way, after last season, I thought my biggest takeaway was, all right, there's some work to do, but Dylan's tough because he got manhandled last year too. I've never questioned his toughness. I just questioned his ability.
Yeah, he's got one thing that Emmett has done. Emmett, very rarely do you square Emmett up. Emmett's learned how to take a hit and not get hammered. Dude. That'll be another part of the development of Dylan is how do you take a hit? Because you brought it up last hour, and I tend to agree. If you look at the hits that Dylan has taken, it's probably a surprise that he hasn't had something injured this year. He had the ankle injury that lingered last year. I mean, we would have never, gone as far to say, man, I bet the guy is going to break his leg, but he does put himself in a position to, suffer an injury that anything with your legs, man, will hamper you. And
big time.
There is, I guess I didn't look deep enough into this, and maybe Rule will bring this up today. There is no surgery involved, correct?
I have no clue. I barely even know what a fibula is, so I couldn't really.
It's
tell
your
you.
leg.
No, I know it's in the leg.
Yeah.
So as long as he doesn't have to have surgery on this leg, the recovery time is 4 to 6 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think there's
instead of surgery, which makes it 8 to 12.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you just hope that he just get done wherever you need to get done, so it's not lingering, right? And so it doesn't hamper you into the future. I mean, at this point, with 3 weeks left in the season, and I also too they're not going to make the playoff now, so it's not as if you're like, hey, you got to string together a couple of wins, and then maybe you'll get him back for a playoff game. I think that is kind of off the table. At this point.
Okay, so thank you. I did not traveling yesterday. He is gonna require surgery.
Oh,
so that's it.
Yeah. So
it's Latif the rest of the way. But T-Rob said, how about the club to the head on the same play?
Did he?
Is this where the defensive lineman's going over the top of Corcoran and gives him a little bam?
Yeah.
I think once the ball came free, all hell broke loose, and
that's how football typically works. Once that ball is on the ground, there are no more rules in the game of football. You learned that yesterday too during that onside kick recovery when the referees were trying to get people off of the pile in the Bears Cincinnati game. They literally couldn't grab the men and take them out of the pile. It was incredible.
Terry writes into the Equitable Bank inbox. He goes, "Hi guys, Gary Sharp, you sparked a thought. Nebraska is 0-2 against teams with better players and 6-0-1 against teams with lesser players. Now that we've lost a key positive player, how are we going to compete, or how are we going to compare to the other 3 teams we have left? Honestly, I think 1-2. Hope it's not that simple. P.S. Been waiting for UCLA week for a while. I have an email coming that will tie them into the Tiburon League. I can't wait. Do you know this since you're in that golf league?
I don't know. I can't wait for Terry's tie-ins. That'll be our new segment here on the show.
I would love to see, and I would love to see in one of the remaining games, one of the remaining 4, including the bowl game, this is where Nebraska is going to take the jump. First and foremost, to take the jump, to win in the month of November, Nebraska has to be better in the trenches. Okay?
Yes.
They have to get better on the offensive and defensive line to dictate game control and do whatever they want to do. You're not winning in November if you can't win the trenches. And I'm Captain Obvious here, but that's how you win in the Big Ten, and that's how you win in college football. When you get to this time of the month and everybody's worn down, you develop depth and you win in the trenches. And if you can't win in the trenches, you can't win in November.
No.
And then you add on, hey, we take care of the football, we play good special teams. USC did a good job. They eliminated Nebraska's special team advantage on Saturday night. I thought USC scouted Nebraska very well on their bye week. Remember, UCLA has a bye week to scout Nebraska, and now they got film against them against USC. But you gotta find a way to win in the trenches. But over the next 4 games, I've got to see something that tells me that this coaching staff with lesser talent, or a game where their talent is not significantly better, that they can sit down and they can expose another team's weaknesses.
Yeah.
And they can take their tendencies away from them. If they can do that, a game where you go, Nebraska won the game because of coaching.
So you talk about the trenches, right? Here's our first PFF stat of the day. In the A gap, Nebraska gave up 12 and a half yards per carry on 2 rushes.
Mm-hmm.
In the B gap, Nebraska gave up 6 yards per carry. Okay. It's just one of those things where if USC ran it to the A gap to the right, they were averaging 6.4 yards per carry. If they ran it to the A gap to the left, they were averaging 4 yards per carry. If they ran it to the B gap to the left, it was 12 and a half yards per carry. If they ran it to the B gap to the right, it was 5 yards per carry. Okay. I mean, that's what you talk about. You talk about the trenches. Like in the middle of the defensive line, they were able to get whatever the hell they wanted. And that's just and the most frustrating part is that we talk about coaching. Let's talk about player development.
Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be a player development program. This is supposed to be a program that is based in, hey, we are going to take these guys and we're going to go and we're going to get them better. And this defensive line, and especially the interior defensive line, from week 1 to now week 10, has not shown those improvements. They have not developed. And I think you and I both thought that there would be a natural growth because you had all of these younger guys who are going to be playing all these snaps. And you're like, all right, because you're going to be getting all these reps that maybe you weren't going to be getting before, by the time we get to November, you will be better and you will be producing at a higher rate. And that just has not happened.
Well, I think there's Todd Blackledge brought up a point that I think needs a little bit more discussion about Butler, about how he approaches from the NFL to college. But let's talk about the defensive line here before we hit a break. We knew this was going to be a problem from the jump. Okay. Anytime Rule builds somebody up and goes above and beyond with conversation in the media, just go, that's an issue. That's not going to happen. He adopted Quentin Ives. All right.
Happen.
We'll see you post-November. Okay. Good luck where you're going next. Good luck to Nebraska finding a running back, because they don't have a running back 1 on their roster for next year. Running back 1's going to the NFL. Just my prediction. And I don't know why he wouldn't. 23 years old. And he's having an incredible year in Emmett Johnson. But then remember, as we got closer to camp, remember in Vegas, in camp, middle of camp, he went above and beyond to talk about the defensive line. Okay. He was trying to convince those guys that they could be good. And they already knew that they were going to be young. They were changing position coach, brand new position coach was coming in. And we always, and you and I both said right away, we know this is going to be an issue. They got to get better quick.
Yes.
But here's where the frustrating thing of that defensive line, because the man from West Fargo showed up on Saturday night.
Yeah.
And what is he going to look like next year? Keona Davis continues to make strides, but he's not consistent enough. I think Winery and Davis right now are their 2 best defensive linemen, but that can't be the way, because here's the problem with the defensive line. If we're this far in and we're like, okay, they got some young guys, they're trying to figure people out. Where did Judy go? Gabe Moore, Jalen George, what the hell? Where is Cam Lenhart and Riley Van Poppel that are consistently making splash plays? If you have those 2 guys who are veteran guys that are making plays, then the guys behind them can grow up. And when the top guys have disappeared for stretches during games, it's a crapshoot.
It is,
and that's kind of what I think it's become.
And the Cam Lenhart thing is almost as if he came in as a freshman and he made an impact right away in his first 2 games. And I'm sorry, and I know he suffered some injuries, so I'll give him a little bit of grace there. But like, man, that can't be your highlight. That can't. The peak of your Nebraska career is that you got 2.5 sacks in the first 3 games you ever played, and then from that point on, you haven't been able to contribute at a high level. And he hasn't. And you're right. There are moments where I'm like, oh, 11's there. I haven't seen him in a couple of quarters. Yeah. Now I see 5 plenty because 5 is still planted at the line of scrimmage 2 seconds after the ball gets snapped. Yeah. And it's like he sometimes he'll use that Hutmaker move where he, the inside with like he, moves his hands really well on the inside and he's able to kind of swim over the guy and then get to the back. Like sometimes he does that, but other times he just I cannot stop thinking about Matt Rule saying football is all about, moving another guy in the way that he doesn't want to be moved. And you have a defensive line that is getting moved way more than they are moving people.
Yeah. And then you throw in, I know Javen Wright's having a career year when it comes to numbers. Linebackers disappear way too often. So your front 7 is kind of a crapshoot while your back end has been really good.
Yeah.
Ironically, your defensive coordinator is a defensive back guy who came from the NFL where they protect the back end because you're in a passing league.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're in the Big Ten where it's a running league. And I know Blackledge brought it up. I don't think I would just poo-poo it and go, hey, Blackledge is just throwing stuff out there.
No.
If you think about it, it's an adjustment. And it's just the timing is wrong to have a brand new defensive line coach with a bunch of young guys up front that don't have man bodies. But the guys that do have man bodies, where the hell are you?
Hey, real quick, though, isn't it frustrating when you saw some of those King Miller runs and you're like, oh, my God, that's blocked up the same exact way as Michigan, where it's just every guy on the offensive line of USC just had a dude and they were just able to pick up the secondary and there were just some bad fits. Like it just still bothers me that there were problems in week 1, both systematically and from a player playing perspective that are still happening. And then there's still problems from week 4 that were all that time ago that still is a problem.
And you remember where they got caught? They tried a lot of stuff at the beginning of the year with stunts.
Yes.
And they were getting caught. Here's the thing that you're just getting beat in gaps.
Yeah.
Okay. You're getting beat one-on-one. So what you do is you force your back end guys to come up and play those runs. All of a sudden, King Miller is one-on-one with the DB. Now, I thought the defensive backs played really well in coverage, and also when they had an opportunity to make tackles, they did. Sure. Rex Guthrie was better. Donovan Jones was better. Marshall, Sierra Wright made some money. No. Singleton flashed a little bit. But Nebraska up front is simply losing one-on-one battles. It's not like they're getting schemed out of, like here's a pulling. They did. USC ran the counter, and I love that. And I thought they'd run more toss. They ran one of their first plays Saturday night, Matt. They ran a toss, and I'm like, oh, how I miss you. I would love to see you. I love that play. But they essentially did what Minnesota did. Yeah. They just ran counter and guys blocked. Guys couldn't get off blocks. Guys couldn't win one-on-one. USC won the gap battle. And then all of a sudden you got a really good running back in King Miller. He's into the gap and somebody's got to make a play. And that's not what, that's what you're not built to do. The guys up in front of you were built to do that.
Well, I thought of Vers on Saturday because I remember we had him on for an interview and he talked about, there were run plays that when he was over at Scott, they just keep calling him over and over and over again because it's like the defense clearly couldn't stop it. And they were just so well coached in doing that they didn't need to change it. And that's how I felt with USC. Like USC just kept running that counter, run it to the left, run it to the right, maybe add a little variation here. And Nebraska knew it was coming. They knew that they were going to run that and they still weren't able to consistently and effectively stop it.
And their linebackers get washed.
They do. I mean, because they're also either young or small, right? Like outside of Javen, they're either really young and they're just too in over their skis sometimes and shoot the wrong gap, or they're tiny and they get swallowed.
Or their vision isn't very good.
Yes.
That's just.
You talk about a crapshoot. I don't think the D-line's a crapshoot. I think the D-line's just bad. I think the linebackers are a crapshoot. That's what I think. D-line and pass, D-line and rush, or in running. In pass rush, they looked a lot better. Like they were actually kind of knocking him a little bit and causing. So I want to give the D-line credit in that regard. They've been better at getting to the passer, but in the run game, they have not improved.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Evan Bland stops by in an hour with his thoughts, what Nebraska does moving forward with TJ Lateef as the starting quarterback for the rest of the year to close out 2025. Nebraska gets UCLA, is now an underdog on Big Fox, 8 p.m. Big Red Overreaction will come your way at about 11:30.
Jeez.
Have fun.
Proof Whiskey is going to have to stay open.
How about a weird, that was dropped in the middle of the game.
What?
Yeah, the Big Ten released it like in the third quarter of, hey, Nebraska, UCLA playing at 8. Iowa, Oregon playing at 11 a.m.
Wash it tweeted it, and I'm like, I guess I'm going to be here next week till 1:30. That's what I thought.
Good on for you. And as people are agreeing with me, do not let the Duke's Mayo Bowl guy back on the air.
Look, if enough people email me and tell me that they hate him, I won't let them. But also, too, I'm
Matt
not
at 1620thezone.com.
Yeah, I'm not screening the calls. It's either Joey Colbert or a Peter Krenzer thing, or Jake Janicek.
We're back with more of Gary and Matt on a Overreaction Victory Monday on 1620 The Zone.
Kevin Harlan here from Westwood One. Coming up Monday night, football heads to Texas for the Cowboys and the Cardinals. Dak Prescott and Dallas needing a win to get back to 500. Now they face an Arizona team coming off a bye. Join me and Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner for all the action on Monday Night Football.
If it's the NFL, it's on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Boys Town Ear, Nose, and Throat Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7.
Mostly sunny and pleasant for your Monday. A high today in Omaha of 63 degrees with winds remaining light and variable. For tonight, partly cloudy skies becoming mostly cloudy, a low of 42 with winds out of the south up to 10 miles an hour. Even warmer with more sunshine for your Tuesday. Highs tomorrow near 70 degrees with breezy winds out of the south up to 15 miles an hour. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KETV News Watch 7.
We've never seen the price of gold this high. Now's the time to sell at Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
1620 The Zone Traffic.
From the Plum Ride Time Saving Traffic Center, got a couple crashes reporting the Omaha Metro. One of them's blocking both shoulders on West I-80 approaching 144th, causing delays from Giles. The other one's blocking right shoulder on southbound JFK approaching Highway 34. You can also expect delays on southbound JFK from Cornhusker to Nebraska 370. Traffic's picking up on the North Freeway traveling southbound due to road construction from Hamilton to I-480. And you can expect slowdowns on North I-680 on the entrance ramp to the westbound Dodge Expressway. Be sure to buckle up, drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Woodhouse Auto Family.
At Woodhouse, buying a car is about the experience. From SUVs to sedans, trucks to luxury models, our team makes it easy and enjoyable. Discover why drivers trust Woodhouse for exceptional service at woodhouse.com.
Brent Rasmussen of Mortgage Specialists. You read the news and you hear so many things about tariffs, trade deals, stock markets coming down, and then going right back up. How do you make a decision to buy a home with all that uncertainty? I'm Brent Rasmussen, a mortgage specialist, and if there's one thing I know, nothing is certain except uncertainty. Even though the housing market nationwide might have cooled, Omaha is still a great place to buy a home. But it helps to have a good guide like Mortgage Specialists. We can help you make a plan that works for you, your family, and your future. Because nothing's more reassuring than when plan A may not be right for you, there's a solid plan B right there, ready to go. How's that for a little certainty in an uncertain world? Give us a call at Mortgage Specialists.
Click mtg-specialists.com. NMLS number 5918, Equal Housing Lender.
The time is now. All potted trees are 40% off at Lanahaw. Huge selection, fall color, and savings that won't last long. Visit Lanahaw's Garden Center today, 192nd in West Center.
Get into Prairie Flower Casino and get in the game. Prairie Flower has hundreds of the hottest slot machines along with the PFC Sportsbook and your favorite live table games. Looking for a bite and a beverage? You'll love all our options, including Sky Bar and Grill with nonstop sports on our wall-to-wall TVs and the friendly service you know and love. Play longer, win more at Prairie Flower Casino, just minutes north of downtown Omaha. Must be 21. Please bet responsibly.
Straight Talk knows the best holiday gift is simply saying yes.
Yes, you can stay up late. Sure, more cookies. Of course we can watch that movie again.
That's why we give you real unlimited data, so you can say yes to all of your family's streaming, scrolling, and sharing. And now at Straight Talk, get another gift worth giving, a free 5G phone with select plans. Because yes is the best gift to give.
Yes!
And receive. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Food for the workplace. It's a beautiful thing. It brings teams together, keeps them happy and productive. It's a great way to woo clients or celebrate wins. But if you're the one ordering all that food, it can be a lot. That's why there's Easy Cater, the easiest and most rewarding way to order food for work, with a huge variety of restaurants for any group size, plus tools to meet dietary needs and stay on budget. And with Easy Cater, you earn rewards points when you order. Good for order discounts or even gift cards. For you. Go on. You've earned it. Order now at easycater.com.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by No Name Nutrition and Equitable Bank. Also brought to you by Prairie Flower Casino, Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair, and by Peerless Energy Systems. Immediately after the game, join the show and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction. When the clock strikes 0 after each Nebraska game, it's time to sound off on 101.9 The Keg and 1620 The Zone.
Husker Review Monday is powered by McKinnis Roofing and Sheet Metal. Looking for trusted experts to protect and enhance your home or business? We are McKinnis, Nebraska and Iowa's go-to choice since 1981. For commercial or residential projects, trust McKinnis Roofing and Sheet Metal. Visit McKinnisinc.com today.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
And we're back. Here's Gary, Matt, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, don't forget to join the VIP club and sign up for 1620. The email, you'll be the first to know about all the exciting content that's happening on 1620 The Zone, including sports news, contest promotions, and more. Sign up today at 1620thezone.com. Saturday, Nebraska secondary held Jacoby Lane to only 22 yards receiving. In the latest mock draft that I was looking at, Jacoby Lane is projected to go in the first round. So for people who want to mark that down, that they saw Nebraska secondary hold a future first-round pick to only 22 yards. You can say that, but Nebraska still lost, which makes a lot of people frustrated, and that's including our next caller, Gary. Gary, you're on 1620 Zone. How you doing, my man?
Great. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Gary, you brought up a good point in your last segment regarding offensive line and defensive line play.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go really deep diving here.
Okay.
Can previous NFL position coaches come into a college level program and develop and teach these kids good fundamental football? And you know who I'm talking about. Donovan, the new D-line coach that came in from the Chiefs, and I'll even go one step further. We brought Butler in from the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
With the problems that we all talk about, can NFL position coaches coming down to coach college kids really be successful in helping 18, 19, 20, and 21-year-old kids develop?
I think that's a fair question. If you look at the makeup, I don't think it's a sweeping. There are some coaches that I don't care what level they're on.
Mm-hmm.
They can coach. It's all about relating to either a guy that's getting paid more than you are. Well, I guess you might even be coaching a guy in college that's getting paid more than you are.
Sure.
It's just, can you get your point across? The thing with Nebraska's offensive line coach is he is coaching the style of offensive line that the head coach wants. So it's about getting productivity and consistency out of your guys. Now, some of the guys that come down from the NFL to college, they have to adapt in recruiting. You know, we're still waiting on defensive line recruiting. You know, what's that going to be like? You know, there's a deeper dive when the season is over about this, but it's a good point, Gary, because Rule with his NFL background has a lot of connections of guys that coach in the NFL. But I think and I don't know, Matt, if you agree or disagree with me, I think sometimes if you can coach a position and get your message across, you can coach anywhere. It's just, how do you relate to your prospect, and do they buy in what you're selling? If you can sell it and there's results, then I think you can coach anywhere from Pop Warner all the way to the NFL.
Thanks for the call, Gary. I agree with that sentiment, but I do get what Gary is saying in terms of the defensive line, because the D line was very young and needed to get better right away and needed to improve right away. And I think if you want to question bringing in an NFL assistant who hadn't had college experience before to coach that very important position, if you want to question that, I don't have any quarrel with that. But I do agree to your point. If you can coach, you can coach, and if you could coach, you can adapt and you can figure out a way to, transition from going from the NFL into college.
Listen, at the defensive line, they got caught with their pants down, okay? And it wasn't that they unbuckled their belt and pulled them down. They were going through a transition where they lost two stalwarts who could hold up a line of scrimmage and were difference makers.
Yeah.
They all of a sudden decided to go smaller there, and they were younger just because of the turn of the room, and they didn't do well in the portal.
No.
I mean, Gabe Moore, Jalen George, but I want to go back to this, because we can't just all of a sudden say it's young guys, they haven't grown, they aren't grown men. They're going against a guy on Saturday night across from them that's got 4 kids, and he's got a portfolio, and he's 24 years old, and he's thinking about coming back for his 25th year, and you're going, damn, just 8 months ago I was at my prom. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the reality. That's the reality. But the guys that you have returning, where you at? Where you at? How come you're not getting better that you've been in the program for a bit? Because I expect some of the younger defensive linemen to get better, but they're swimming in it, and they're not having any help from the older guys who are not there consistently and are not getting better. Now, back to Braden. Here's what he's got to prove different. Rule did this in his first time. He hired a guy to coach a position, albeit not as important as the defensive line position, but still important as tight ends. And the reason he hired him was because of his recruiting connections.
Yeah.
Did they hire a defensive line coach in one of the most important position groups in the Big Ten because of the connection to Kansas City? Or was there something they saw in his time with the Chiefs, not as a frontline guy, but absorbing everything around a Super Bowl champion, that he can come in and relate? I think it's probably still too early on that, but the recruiting, you hire a guy to be a recruiter, not a position coach. Yeah, let him coach a position that's not going to hurt you. You need a guy that can go in there and get dudes and then get those dudes coached up. This is the Big Ten. Game's won right there at the line of scrimmage.
Rule is supposed to be a D-line guy. Like that's supposed to be his bread and butter too.
But here's the problem, Matt, and I wonder if we can change this. We've sat here and said, man, kind of cool. Rule likes being the CEO, right?
Yeah. I know where you're going.
Is Matt Rule, and you hire coaches to do their job. And a lot of coaches appreciate that because they don't want the head coach always looking over their shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Matt, and we're not at practice, so this is point of discussion. Does Rule need to be even more involved? I know he's involved. The week after Minnesota, he was involved with everything. But does he need to be more involved? Or is it simply they are what they are right now in the defensive line, and they have enough to get them through the year? Then they've got to fix it in the offseason with either guys getting older, bigger, stronger, or going out and paying some dollars. Think about this. Nebraska is going to have to spend a lot of money on some key positions that everybody in college football wants. Running back, tackle, defensive lineman. Is Nebraska equipped to make decisions and already have a list and have enough of a suitcase full of cash to be able to pull that off?
I think, that's the problem. When we talk
Pat Stewart, we're talking about Matt Rule and TJ Lateef in the last month. Pat Stewart, you're gonna have to earn his paycheck.
So
we're gonna figure out what he's doing as the general manager, figuring out guys that need to go, guys that need to stay, guys that need to get a bump, and guys that need to be into this program, because 26 is a big portal year. 27 is the year where you think that you might be able to put together a top 5 class.
Well,
and I'm not kidding when I say they think they can put together a top 5 class. They had a really good weekend. They got positive vibes back. Ahmad Hudson, Nebraska might be in the running for, might be in the lead for him. You already got your Pied Piper with Trey Taylor, who may have committed a violation with a booster giving him a plane to fly for. I don't know. But you have to. The next 3 games are kind of your final decisions on guys of
sure.
Do you keep them? Do you move them? Do you pay them more?
But this is where I was watching I watched Kurt Signetti's opening press conference when he took the Elon job. Okay. It's an awesome presser.
Sicko.
I know. It's an awesome presser. And in that moment, in Elon, he goes, look, we are going to go and we are going to recruit guys, but more importantly, we're going to develop guys. Okay. That is the lifeblood of college football. You got to get them and we have to develop them. And when you talk about, well, they're going to have to get a running back and they're going to have to get a D tackle and they're going to have to get an offensive tackle and they're going to have, I panic a little bit because I'm like, I know you don't have Cody Campbell and I know you don't have this just endless treasure chest of money that you can just go and acquire all these talented players. And to me, I'm thinking, why haven't you, in a more inexpensive way, been able to get guys who are high school players and then develop them and then get them going, as opposed to now you have to go and pay a premium, right?
Well, you look at it as a supplement. I mean, like Marty Brown would have been a supplement to Emmett.
But they're not going to, that's the issue though, Gary. These guys that you talk about are not going to be supplemental pieces because they don't have the foundational pieces to begin with. They currently don't have a foundational running back after Emmett Johnson. They don't have a foundational offensive tackle. They don't have a foundational defensive tackle that isn't named Winery or Keona Davis. And those 2 guys still have to, in and of itself, get better too, because they're fine, but they're not great. They're not all Big Ten level.
There needs to be, and this is, I don't know if they want to get into a public discussion. Rule throws out $30 million. We probably in the media and the fan base don't know exactly what Nebraska's financials are when it comes to having availability. But I do know this, that I'm sitting watching a game on Saturday night, and I know that if you can control the game by controlling the trenches, you got a shot, even if you're less talented. And also, and I've got that on one screen in front of me in the stadium, and on the side, I'm watching David Sanders play as a starting tackle in the SEC at Tennessee. What's the difference? Is it just money? Is it NFL? Is it what's the thing that separates? And if it's money, maybe it would be better for us to have a better understanding of what the difference is, how far Nebraska is away.
Well, that's the issue, Gary. It's like it's really, really hard to judge some of the decisions they've made because we're just kind of guessing and inferring and being told, hey, this guy might be making this and this guy might be making that, but it's not on paper. And so it's hard to evaluate. It's like Pat Stewart probably gets a free pass in terms of how we evaluate him from a job perspective, because I don't know how much money he's giving to these guys. And I don't know, like, if he's missing out on certain dudes or he's saying no to this guy or saying no to that. Like, you just don't know. And that's an issue. And it's just one of those things where it's like until it becomes public or until it becomes standard that you have to reveal that stuff, they're not going to.
Yeah, because they're going to have, and they're going to need some younger guys and some influx on defense. If you look at, like the back end is kind of a mixture of some older guys and some younger guys, and you like your younger guys, but you're going to still need some bodies. When we come back, I know a lot of people are chatting because he's having an incredible, you got me saying it. He's having one of the.
You can't blame me.
Yes.
I haven't said it all show.
Jimmy's keeping track.
Yeah, he's doing okay.
I haven't said it once.
It's early though.
Nebraska has a guy, only the 4th running back that has achieved 1,000 yards rushing through 9 games in 30 years. Only 4 in 30 years, and he belongs to this roster. But how much longer does he belong to this roster? People are wondering, as I say, prepare yourself for minimum 3, maximum 4 more games with Emmett Johnson. We should talk about Emmett. And when we speak of Emmett, we should speak very highly of Emmett. because Emmett may have elevated himself into being a no-doubter first-team All-Big Ten. Who would have thought that?
Crazy.
All right, break time. We'll come back. Evan Bland coming up in the next hour. Wilson Moore. It's the start of college basketball. I'm in Sioux Falls. Omaha Murray State. Mavs back after winning the regular season and postseason NCAA tournament for the first time. They take on Murray State today at the Pentagon and here in Sioux Falls. 12:30 tip, noon airtime over on 1180. Nebraska plays West Georgia tonight at 7:01 at PBA.
Nice.
If Sanford and Frager can consistently shoot it, they'll cause some. They'll be in games. They might be bubbly. They might be bubbly if that happens.
I love the beginning of the college basketball season because I learned about a bunch of colleges that I didn't know existed.
Oh, well, learn Creighton, learn Nebraska, non-con.
Northwestern's playing Mercyhurst tonight. That'll be one hell of a match.
I mean, these are called bye games. We'll say bye right now. We'll come back and wrap up this hour. Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone.
For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is always looking to make your game day bigger and better. Cheer on your favorite team this season in front of a 22-foot LED video wall showing up to 8 games at once. TVs are everywhere else you can look with a state-of-the-art audio and video system. Enjoy a big old pizza or award-winning char-buffed wings. There's just no better way to do your game day. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road. And for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
When it comes to protecting your home, J. Stennett Contracting takes pride in ensuring every detail is handled. Roofing, siding, gutters. When it comes to the exterior of your home, J. Stennett Contracting has you covered. This fall, consider gutter guards to block debris and prevent clogs and save you the hassle of regular maintenance. Schedule a consultation today and let J. Stennett Contracting's expert team and durable gutter guards ensure your gutters are working properly in every season. J. Stennett Contracting. We have you covered. JSCRestoration.com.
Remember when they used to ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? At Bank of America, we ask every day, what would you like the power to do? When you work here, you help build businesses, inspire communities, and forge legacies. And now we've raised our U.S. minimum wage to $25 an hour. So the opportunity to do more also comes with competitive pay. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/25. Bank of America. Proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Food for the workplace. It's a beautiful thing. It brings teams together, keeps them happy and productive. It's a great way to woo clients or celebrate wins. But if you're the one ordering all that food, it can be a lot. That's why there's Easy Cater, the easiest and most rewarding way to order food for work, with a huge variety of restaurants for any group size, plus tools to meet dietary needs and stay on budget. And with Easy Cater, you earn rewards points when you order. Good for order discounts or even gift cards. For you. Go on. You've earned it. Order now at easycater.com.
Kids don't like to miss out, and neither do you. When sore throats, ear infections, or sinus trouble put you on the sideline, trust the experts at Boys Town Ear, Nose, and Throat. With specialized care for the whole family and quick and friendly scheduling, you won't miss a thing. Boys Town Ear, Nose, and Throat can get you back to life. Visit boystownhospital.org.
The 1620 The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. At Equitable, we take banking personally and answer the phone on the first ring. Email me, John Bishop, anytime. John at 1620thezone.com. The Equitable Bank Zone inbox from 1620 The Zone.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by No Name Nutrition and Equitable Bank. Also brought to you by Prairie Flower Casino, Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair, and by Peerless Energy Systems. Immediately after the game, join the show and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction. When the clock strikes 0 after each Nebraska game, it's time to sound off on 1019 The K and 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Matt McMaster.
Up on this hour, would you like to take a guess when it's all said and done, the next 3 games, how many carries Emmett Johnson, who is 22 right now, would be 23 next October, will have. He's at 175 for 1,002. First running back in Nebraska to go over 1K since Ozigbo in 18. 175, 3 games to go. What will Emmett Johnson end up with final carries?
I will say he will have 82 more carries. So that's like
257 carries for the season.
So 82, so that's 27 a game. I think that he had 29 against USC.
Mm-hmm.
And that was even before, like, he had a lot of those even before Dylan got hurt. I mean, they only threw the ball with Dylan 15 times. Like, it wasn't pushing it.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
And now his season is over. Was Dylan, the fade ball, the key was beautiful, but was Dylan playing well before then?
So
before the injury?
On his throws that were 10 plus yards down the field, he was 2 of 7 with 34 yards. That's what he was. 2 of 7. So everything else was 10 and in. And so I think that no, I don't think he was over. And by the way, we were talking about it on Big Red Overreaction. They're like, oh, he was hesitant. Dana was hesitant to throw the ball with Latif. I thought that Dana seemed a little hesitant at times to throw the ball with Dylan.
Well, doesn't it feel like this offense, which is it Dana calling the rule Satterfield offense? That's why there's a possibility you might see the most creative Dana Holgerson all season long on Saturday with Latif. But it's almost like this offense has become, and this maybe it's identified when you go and you look it up on Wikipedia. What is Nebraska's offense? Don't make a mistake offense.
Well, it's also when I first came on and I talked to you about Dana's offense, I was like, it seems like they don't care about anything else other than scoring.
Mm-hmm.
And now sometimes it feels like they care. They do that. They're very hyper focused on time of possession and holding the ball and making sure the other, like, no, man, you're not Ohio State. All right. You're not Alabama. You are not Georgia. You're not one of these teams that at any side, like, you could score whenever you want. You just have to go and try and score. Call the best plays to give you the best opportunities to put points on the board. Don't think of anything else other than just get points. Because you know what? We talk about the D-line and we talk about the play calling. We can say whatever we want about the defense. At the end of the day, they gave up 21 points to USC. That's pretty good.
Oh, if we would have said that on Friday, that because we both predicted USC would win.
Yeah.
I like a lot of people. If we would have said USC is only going to score 21 points, Maeva is going to be 9 of 23 with only 5.9 yards per attempt, you'd be like, Nebraska broke the streak.
Exactly. So we've been very critical, and I'll put, I don't want to put you in there. I've been critical of the defense and the D line, but I do myself have to look myself in the mirror and be like, hey, Matt, they only scored 21. Like, Jaden Maeva had one of his worst games of his career, right? Like, they were able, even with the flaws and even with the run game, like, they were able to do some really good things. And Andrew Marshall, like you said, outside of that one throw, I thought he was incredible. I thought he was awesome. So,
I believe PFF said he had his best game of the year.
Yeah, he was draped. He made, that's some money. You talk about Sierra Wright making money. Andrew Marshall made some money on Saturday too. So I don't know. It's just like, you're right. Dylan really didn't play all that well before he got. It's not as if he was tearing it up and he was absolutely incredible. And Nebraska was only in the game because Dylan was in the game. Like, it was Emmett. It was 21.
But see, these are the kind of games where you got to play in the margin. You got to win the margin. So when Marshall intercepts the ball and you have it at the USC 33, this is the series that Dylan fumbles. You got to hold on to the football. Yeah, you might lose your starting quarterback, but you can't turn the football over there. And then and we haven't even talked about this, is the 4th and 1. There are people on the side that say, run Emmett. You got a better chance to get 1 yard than making a 50-plus yard field goal in college football. It first starts with the indecisiveness of what you are going to do. I think the best course for this offense is to have game control, run the ball, because when it seems like the adrenaline picks up and games get a little bit wonky, Rule gets caught up in it.
Well,
starts bitching at the officials.
Yeah.
You start losing control of the game and weird decisions happen, and then you got to play catch up.
He did the same exact thing against USC last year. He didn't learn his lesson. The whole time management fiasco that happened in Southern California that everybody was freaking out about. Same team, but this time in Lincoln, it was the same crap.
Yeah,
and it's just look.
Just have some decide what you're going to do. Okay.
Well,
don't have a fire drill to get Harburg out there and then call a timeout. If that's what you want to do, you already know you're going to run that play because in your head you're like, okay, if it's 4th and 1 and we're at this spot on the field, instead of trying, because in college football, only half the time a 50-yard field goal is going to go through. But on 4th and 1, you got a 2 and 3 shot to be able to get one simple yard. But you have to know that ahead of time that, okay, if we get to this point, we're going for it. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to get guys on the field. We're going to run this, and we're just going to run. We're not going to go out there and mess around and are we going to jump or whatever, and then have to force to take a timeout. It first started with me with the indecisiveness of know what you're going to do and then do it. Even if you're going to kick a field goal, just say, put in and get out there. Because you go from, hey, we're going to go from it, then we're going to take a timeout, now we're going to go kick.
You cannot tell me that every game in the Big Ten is going to be close and then be that irresponsible with your timeouts.
Yeah. All right, more as we're halfway through on a Monday. Good discussion with everybody this morning. Evan Bland coming up in about 30 minutes. Still more to break down from USC, and we'll look ahead to UCLA, which is coming off a bye week after they got routed by Indiana, but they love to run the football. They love to control the game.
I'm tiny baby Newhousel. Freaks me out. Jerry knows what he's doing.
This is Nebraska's been a good bounce back team, but they'll have to bounce back in more ways than one without their starting quarterback. Plus, we'll talk about the weekend in college football that saw Indiana kill somebody again. And Ohio State have 2 of the best wide receivers maybe in the game of football.
Give Carnell Tate some more respect. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. I got a problem with when we get back. Gus Johnson said something. It pissed me off. It made me really mad. Because you know I love my boy Carnell.
All right, welcome to day 1 of college basketball and a pissed off Matt McMaster and the Duke's Mayo Bowl guy. On from Big Red Overreaction. Thank you to 1620 The Zone Nation. We're back with more after this. It's 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Preliminary Time Saving Traffic Center, there's still that crash over on West I-80 blocking both shoulders on the exit ramp to 144th. There's a new crash blocking the right shoulder of West I-80 approaching 60th, causing delays from I-480. Speaking of delays, expect slow traffic on eastbound Dodge from 180 to 244th. Stop and go in JFK traveling southbound from Nebraska 370 to Cape Heart and traveling northbound from Cornhusker to Chandler. And you can expect delays on I-680 in both directions between I-80 and Maple. Be sure to buckle up, drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Fernando's.
Ready for your Fernando's fix? We've got new birria and queso birria tacos, plus our new creamy street corn dip. Find us at 75th and Pacific or 114th and Dodge. Come for happy hour from 3 to 5 for deals on margaritas and more. Love to all from Fernando's.
Husker Review Monday is powered by McKinnis Roofing and Sheet Metal. Looking for trusted experts to protect and enhance your home or business? We are McKinnis, Nebraska and Iowa's go-to choice since 1981. For commercial or residential projects, trust McKinnis Roofing and Sheet Metal. Visit McKinnisInc.com today.
Food for the workplace. It's a beautiful thing. It brings teams together, keeps them happy and productive. It's a great way to woo clients or celebrate wins. But if you're the one ordering all that food, it can be a lot. That's why there's EasyCater, the easiest and most rewarding way to order food for work, with a huge variety of restaurants for any group size, plus tools to meet dietary needs and stay on budget. And with EasyCater, you earn rewards points when you order, good for order discounts or even gift cards. For you. Go on, you've earned it. Order now at easycater.com.
Remember when they used to ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? At Bank of America, we ask every day, what would you like the power to do? When you work here, you help build businesses, inspire communities, and forge legacies. And now we've raised our U.S. minimum wage to $25 an hour. So the opportunity to do more also comes with competitive pay. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/25. Bank of America, proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. That's ziprecruiter.com/radio. ziprecruiter.com/radio.
KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620, The Zone. Now back to Gary and Matt on 1620, The Zone.
Come on! All right, good morning. Welcome back in. Happy Standard Time to everybody out there. It is college basketball season starting today. Matt Rule speaks later this morning. He's got a discussion about his new quarterback and a trip to UCLA before a bye week. Never a dull moment around here.
No, never indeed. It'll be fun. I can't wait until he goes. You know, guys, we are 6-3. That's on the bingo card today. Over under, I will set it at 32.5 minutes. That's how long he goes today. See you later, Gary.
You made him mad again.
No, his mic didn't sound all that great, so he's got to leave and come back. I think it'll be an incredibly interesting press conference that he'll have today, Jimmy. You're back.
Here with everything that is going on. The result was not what Washington fans wanted, and the elbow injury to Jaden Daniels, do not need to see that over and over.
God.
Sam Darnold reminded Jets and Viking fans and Panther fans what they missed. But how about the uniform matchup last night in the Sunday night football game that let a lot of us go to bed early?
It was hot. They were hot. They were hot jerseys.
Just go back to those permanently, both of them.
Yeah, I agree, Jimmy. They were just sexy.
It's the only good thing about that dog-esque game last night.
I saw the Commanders jerseys, and I thought that exact same too. I was like, just go back to that. Just wear like whatever the hell of this like dark maroon. By the way, screw minimalism. I think that minimalism has just completely ruined just art and jerseys, and it's just like for whatever reason now we're obsessed with just having like the bold like non-bold colors and nondescript fonts. Like that's all. We just want like 2 colors and just Jazz, Cavs, Commander. Like, stop it. Get out of here. Get creative.
One more game left in this week of the NFL before the trade deadline tomorrow. Arizona, Dallas. You'll hear it right here on the Zone. UCLA, Nebraska get Big Fox from the Rose Bowl on Saturday night, 8:00 kickoff. Clemson, Florida State get ACC Network.
Jeez. Dude, I looked at the slate yesterday, and it is not a good slate.
Yeah,
it is
a little bit rough.
Yeah, this is a pumpkin patch slate. I mean, that's
the pumpkin patches are closed. They're closed. Yeah. Like Vala's closed yesterday, I think.
Or maybe an apple orchard, or maybe go to like it's not cold enough where you can go to an outdoor rink. I don't know. We need more things that you can do in between.
You can play golf on Saturday.
Yeah, maybe. Is it going to be that? I mean, it's going to be warmer.
It's going to be okay.
It's going to be warmer. Maybe go to go to Top Golf.
Okay.
There you go.
They have they don't have a Top Golf in Sioux Falls, but right next to the Pentagon, in the town that is run by the Sanford Health, they have Great Shots, which is the knockoff of Top Golf.
The knockoff is like all of a sudden you're in the Pentagon and a golf ball just flies onto the court through the window.
Hey, you weren't around, but there was a time where the team in Lincoln played football that they were so good they were boring.
Yeah.
I think the 2025 version of Ohio State has reached that with Sayin, who I haven't looked at the updated Heisman odds. I imagine that he is now firmly into the top 5. He's got 2 NFL wide receivers. Scary that Smith can come back next year. He can't go to the NFL. He has to come back to Ohio State. But they pulled away from Penn State. Indiana rolled again. We are headed towards an Indiana-Ohio State matchup in Indy and maybe another one in the playoff, which would be great for the Big Ten. But Ohio State is a wagon.
So I was looking through some stats. Do you want to guess how many points they've given up this year?
Not many.
39.
The whole season.
The whole season, they've given up 39 points.
For a defensive coordinator who everybody laughed at when he was hired.
Hey,
Matt Patricia.
It's funny. Bill Belichick is drowning over in North Carolina, but Matt Patricia's killing it at Ohio State. And then Josh McDaniels is another guy that everybody thought he was over, and he was a butt of a lot of jokes, and they thought he was done. And now he's killing it for New England. Good. You know what? Good for those. Some guys are just coordinators. They're just really good coordinators. And there's nothing wrong with just being a good coordinator and just being like, man, this head coaching thing ain't for me. And that's those two guys. I mentioned I got mad at Gus during the Ohio State game. I'll tell you exactly why. Because Carnell Tate was absolutely dominating that game. And he was incredible. And he's been incredible all season long. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about Jeremiah Smith. And they put the camera on Jeremiah Smith. And Gus Johnson said, everybody's giving Carnell Tate, everyone's going crazy for Carnell, but that's because Jeremiah Smith is being doubled. No. People are not going crazy for Carnell Tate because Jeremiah Smith is getting all the attention. People are going crazy for Carnell Tate because he's awesome, because he's also a really, really good wide receiver who's going to be taken on the first day of the draft, okay? Don't give me this, Carnell is only benefiting because he's got such a great guy to the left of him. No, watch football. If you watch football, you look at this gazelle, and he just runs, his ability to cut in and out, and just his sluggos are incredible, and his ins are incredible. And it's just he is awesome. And he's been so reliable, and he was their more reliable receiver at the end of the regular season last season. So there you go. And yeah, for someone who says Matt loves Carnell Tate because he's from Chicago, yeah, he went to Marist. He's an ESCC guy. He's awesome.
Yeah, that's why I would like him.
I also like him because he's really good at football.
Coming up at the bottom of the hour, Evan Bland joins us. A lot of discussion on email, Twitter, and the chat about Matt Rule in game. I think Matt Rule is probably pretty good January to August 30th. I think in terms of cultivating a program, moving it along, January to August 30th, pretty good. But you don't pay coaches for that to be your only strength. And so when the games start, is your coach better than the coach across from him if he has less talent or has something that goes wrong during the game, like an injury? Can they adjust? There are two things that this is a persistent problem. This isn't new from Saturday night. We all know this. In-game control is not a strength at all. And I don't believe that coaches, because my NFL coach had a bad day yesterday. Andy Reid had a bad day yesterday. But his in-game stuff gets a little wonky. And even with Patrick Mahomes, he still makes some decisions. You go, Andy, I don't know that ever leaves you. But here's two things that continue with Rule that have to be fixed. And I don't know if there's a solution out there. The third quarter lapse that this team has this year is frightening. They've got to figure that out because they're being outscored significantly and they're not being successful offensively. Their offense goes into a shell in the third quarter. They don't adapt. They don't adjust. The other thing about Rule, just witnessing him Saturday night, and now we're 3 years in, I think there are times where Rule gets caught up in the emotion of the game. Instead of controlling the game, he coaches and acts like the emotion of it. And maybe adrenaline gets where all of a sudden people get upset at a bad call. Okay, you get upset at a bad call. I mean, he's communicating with Dannon on the sidelines. It was very odd on Saturday night. But I'm trying to find solutions and explanations for some of the things in game that stunt the flow of this team. This team this year, if they don't play in rhythm, they're screwed. This is not a team in the moment with the headsets to help if they get behind the sticks or they give up a big play. They've got to be in rhythm from the jump and find a way to regain rhythm during a game, or they really struggle. And then it's a crapshoot. And that's what happened on Saturday night. And that's on the plate of the head coach to figure that out and to be able to take back a game when you feel like it's getting away from you or not add to it. So I think some of those timeouts, and especially what appeared to be a couple of timeouts of confusion of, okay, we might not be happy with the call, but we also don't know what we're going to do. I mean,
they don't have the crowd together.
You can't win football games that way when you're playing a team that's more talented than you and you're in the lead and you're holding on 14-6 and you're like, they might not be playing very well, but I think we're playing pretty well. Let's find a way to win a game.
It happens sometimes where it's like you have to take that third quarter timeout, even to the best coaches, where it's just a situation gets away from you and you just got to, for whatever reason, burn one. But the fact that it happens every single week with this team, for whatever reason, is and especially like we go back to every game's going to be a close game. Well, if it's going to be a close game and you're telling your guys it's going to be like that, you need to have timeouts in order to manage the game properly. And they just waste it. Now, did you on the TV? It looked like he just took that timeout to scream at the refs. Did it look like that at the game?
Okay,
too?
so was watching him, and he was livid. I think they were okay. So he was arguing.
Yeah.
I think they had to take it because the play clock was winding down. So they took that timeout, but it looked more like he was arguing, and he took a timeout to argue more. But here's also the fact. This may not be a 100% rule thing. Where is somebody else on that staff in his headset?
Thank you.
To say, Matt, this is a great time to take a timeout.
Thank you.
This is a time. Don't burn a timeout. We're catching them. We're catching them in a bad spot right now. Okay, let's don't take a timeout here. We got them on the ropes.
Yes.
Hey, another thing that didn't get brought up. There was a play on Saturday night. It was early in the game. It might have been in first quarter. Did you see it on TV where USC only had 10 on the field?
Okay.
And they were running a guy on the field, and Nebraska was already at the line of scrimmage. And the ref wasn't holding up the ball because the guy was just late getting on the field. There were only 10 guys. Dylan waited until the guy got in his spot before he snapped the ball.
And then the guy actually had a good pass rush on Dylan.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes,
and he's running out of the field. I go, go. It doesn't matter. Don't check. He doesn't know what he's doing. Like
people say, hey, hire a guy to help you with game management.
Yes, you should.
What about people on your staff that are in your head that are like, this is not the time, Matt. Don't burn the time out here. Let's keep it going. We've got them. Let's get some tempo here. Don't stun it. Don't stop the flow of play.
I don't know. I don't know why there wouldn't be, other than maybe I don't know. I don't want to go down that path because that's just speculation.
But you have to go down that path because you have to find a solution. Because right now that's getting in the way of Nebraska taking that needed step forward in these kind of games that the margin is so close.
Okay, so here's a path I was going to go down on. I agree with you. Why isn't that already happening? Are they too nervous to say, hey, don't take one here, or hey, take one here? Like, why is that? You have a bunch of football men who are getting paid a lot of money. At least one of those guys should be competent in game management and clock management and should be able to say, hey, coach, probably not a good time to take a timeout, or hey, keep this clock running.
You know what? And there are times to burn timeouts, and Nebraska football from Bo Pelini on loves a defensive timeout. But you should be able to look at a timeout and then go, okay, I understand what that was for.
Yes.
There's too many times of late where there are timeouts taken that you go, I don't know what that was for. And one of those was a key spot on Saturday night to go from, are we going to go for it? Then we're going to roll a guy out there to kick a 52-yard field goal.
I'm almost positive, and maybe I'll look this up during the break, but I heard it on a podcast.
Average Joe Sports
podcast
yesterday.
I think it was PMT.
Okay. Better one.
That Todd Bowles hired a guy to be his clock dude, and he just
in Tampa.
Whoa. And he just mics in and goes, hey, do this, or hey, do this, or like, hey, timeout here, or the analytics say that. They said that on the pardon my take. I don't know if it's for sure, so I'll have to go and look that up. But if that's the case, Todd Bowles was a guy that was bad at clock management. That
was with the Jets.
Yeah, was terrible. And now at Tampa Bay, like against that Houston game where Baker had that last drive, he was perfect. He was perfect in clock management. And if that's a 1-to-1, if that's all it is, it's Mike Eckler 2.0. Just cough up some money and get a guy that's going to help you out. It's going to make it immediately better.
Do we still have Ryan?
Yeah, we still do.
Okay.
We'll put him on hold. He's been on hold for 20 minutes, so hopefully he's still here. Ryan, are you still here?
That's our bad.
That's my bad.
Brian, call back.
Please call back, Ryan. And who was the other guy? Tony? Tony was only on hold though for like 4 minutes and he didn't come through.
Oh, we'll blame our phones.
Is what it is.
No.
That's on. That's hey, hand up, account. Look at me. Accountability. Taking accountability. Sorry, Ryan.
You know somebody who should take accountability and pat themselves on the back? The fans on Saturday night. The fans brought the juice. They caused 3 false starts by USC. By the way, USC fans are chill. They are so cool.
Nice.
Because they love college football. They're not douchebags.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're not, and yeah, I'm not saying that there are some douchebags.
There are.
But they love college football. And I saw a Ronnie Lott jersey, Leinart jersey, a lot of Caleb Williams jerseys. Disappointed I never saw a Reggie Bush jersey.
You see a Lendell White?
I did not see a Lendell Wright, but I thought I saw him walking into the stadium.
Oh my God.
He was like, people were surrounding him.
Yeah.
And I thought I just passing by, I'm like, is that Lendell White?
I went to
18 years later.
I went to a thrift store and I saw a Tennessee Titan Lendell White jersey. And I don't know, I still regret to this day not buying it, but I thought it was incredible. I love Lendell White. He was awesome.
Their fans were great. Walking out of the stadium, I walked out a little bit later after going to the Rule Presser. A lot of the tailgates that were still up had the World Series on. So you had USC fans, like the USC outfit Saturday night was USC jersey and a Dodger ball cap. Like, people were around watching Game 7 of the World Series. The blackout, they will do it again.
They should.
My only fear is you have a high bar to hit with how they pulled it off on Saturday night. But that's what Nebraska football is. They pull off something like that where everybody is a player, and they pulled it off great. I mean, it was
so cool.
I hope TV did it justice.
It did.
But then in that moment, then the balloons deflated. When you could have held on to the balloon for days. But
it was funny.
But everybody that was involved did a great job. I know they'll do it again. I don't know if they can reach that bar.
It was funny. Matt Rule said in one of his more recent press conferences that he doesn't believe in momentum because boy, did his team do a crappy job of taking advantage of it. Because that crowd was just a momentum swing ready to happen, and also too saved the team points. I mean, it helped cause a false start on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, you got 3 instead of 7.
Yeah, I mean that's incredible. So, and you see the towels. There are some people waving some towels.
Well, they did. They took care of the student section.
With that banner.
Even the sellout, the number 409 was in black.
Oh, that's so cool.
Like the graphics on Husker Vision were on black. I mean, they did everything. But after a night like that, and then the result, I know why people are deflated or exhausted. I think a lot of the fan base is exhausted.
Do you blame them? I don't.
No, because you're just waiting. I mean, it's, what a way to lose.
But
what a way to lose of another game against an opponent where you felt like you had it and then you lost it and it eludes the program. And you gotta bounce back quickly.
Look, it's one of those things where, yes, the starting quarterback did get hurt, but there was ample opportunity to win that game. And there was just things that they did that they've done throughout the rest of the year that once again stopped them from being victorious and doing something they haven't done.
And USC made more plays when they had to. I mean, the flea flicker call was brilliant.
What a throw.
I mean,
oh my God.
That's his best throw of the night was on a trick play. Their 2 best plays outside of some King Miller runs might have been trick plays. The 2-point conversion and the flea flicker.
That throw on the flea flicker, that probably would have been like the best throw. If I was at the game, that probably would have been the best throw I've ever seen. at that. He
Would have been
threw it
incredible.
at that. No, one of the best runs I've seen at Memorial Stadium because he didn't throw it to a wide receiver. He threw it to a spot. He threw it to that spot right on that hash, and it was it was so good.
Also
I wish our quarterback or Nebraska's quarterback made that throw.
In a game where Lincoln Riley did his best Nebraska impersonation, where you get chunk play, get to the red zone, and then all of a sudden you throw the football.
I can't believe he did that. I can't believe he did that.
He gives you about 4 times a game where he opens the door, and do you walk in? Got 3 instead of 7.
I tweeted out, oh my God, I can't believe he threw the ball there. Like when they gashed him in the run game and then they got to the red zone and they had to kick the field goal. I got onto USC Twitter and they all were like, that's Lincoln Riley. Like you clearly haven't watched this guy. Like that's what he does.
All right, Evan Bland's going to join us here in a little bit. I'm going to step out. Join us over on 1180 for Omaha men's basketball coming up here in a couple of hours against Murray State. Noon airtime, 12:30 tip. Basketball is here. We'll talk about the thing here in Sioux Falls tomorrow when I'm back in studio. Also, don't forget Nebraska basketball plays tonight. Matt Rule speaks later today. Thank you.
Thank you. This was fun.
Willie Moore coming up. Good conversation.
We're gonna do we'll do some Nebraska football with Evan coming up, and then we'll do some Husker basketball along with some Nebraska football with Big Game Willie. So it should be a good show, and then talk about the Game 7 of the World Series that happened. A little bit of a coaching search conversation. We got a lot of things to hit.
World Series that maybe have had the greatest game and the greatest individual performance.
We're gonna have that conversation. That game was everything that makes a guy like you and a guy like me really love baseball. Seriously, more so you though. You love baseball.
Well, it was good. You had 2 baseball guys doing big red overreaction to the satisfaction of everybody out there.
Did you see the pictures of Josh and I freaking out to the game going on?
It was good. It was good. It was a good listen.
Yeah. Well, and then I was an ass. I was like, all great points when I didn't hear a word of what the guy was saying. But hey,
as long as you kick the Duke's Mayo Bowl guy out, you'll be fine.
Hey, this ain't BOR. This is Gary and Matt. Gary, have a great call today.
See you back in studio tomorrow, boys.
Yes, it'll be fun. Matt here for the rest of the way, all the way up until 10 o'clock. Evan Bland coming up next, and then Wilson Moore at 9 o'clock. And then we will bring you home into the crossover. Don't go anywhere. This is 1620 The Zone.
Kevin Harlan here from Westwood One. Coming up Monday night, football heads to Texas for the Cowboys and the Cardinals. Dak Prescott and Dallas needing a win to get back to 500. Now they face an Arizona team coming off a bye. Join me and Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner for all the action on Monday Night Football.
If it's the NFL, it's on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Boys Town Ear, Nose, and Throat Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7.
Mostly sunny and pleasant for your Monday. A high today in Omaha of 63 degrees with winds remaining light and variable. For tonight, partly cloudy skies becoming mostly cloudy, a low of 42 with winds out of the south up to 10 miles an hour. Even warmer with more sunshine for your Tuesday. Highs tomorrow near 70 degrees with breezy winds out of the south up to 15 miles an hour. I'm meteorologist Caitlin Harvey with KETV Newswatch 7.
Diamonds, gold, coins, watches. At Saul's Jewelry and Loan, we buy it all.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Plum Right Time Saving Traffic Center, there's still that crash blocking both shoulders on the westbound I-80 exit ramp 244th. A new crash is reported blocking the right shoulder on westbound I-80 approaching 60th, causing delays from I-480. And if you're traveling north JFK and Bellevue, there is a crash blocking the left lane just past Cornhusker, causing stop and go.
Week 9 of fourth quarter pick'em is officially open. Make your picks now to get a piece of the prize. You can play now at 1620thezone.com.
How'd I do? Am I winning?
No, I can check later. You can win a prize there, or you can listen to a prized guest here. It's Mr. Evan Bland from the Omaha World Herald joining us. Evan, how you doing, man?
Hey guys, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Just me in the seat today. Gary's over in Sioux Falls for the beginning of the Omaha Mavericks season. But you and I, we won't be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Husker football. First off, how was the game? How was the atmosphere? How was being in the press box? How was the blackout? I mean, I imagine you being a veteran writer and being to a lot of those games, that must have been a pretty cool moment for you to see the Memorial Stadium in a new hue.
Yeah, it was really impressive. I'll say, like, I don't usually get caught up in the uniform stuff. Like, it just doesn't interest me all that much, but I thought the blackout effort was phenomenal. And you saw it in the hours leading up. Like, I was kind of curious to what level the fan support would back the blackout. And you saw it all around the stadium. And it was like, okay, like, this is a really high percentage. This is going to be like 90%. And then you see the stadium fill up. And it was probably like 98% black. And I did not know if the fan base would go all in on that, because there have been sort of, half effort blackouts a couple of times through the years. I can't recall the specific games, but it kind of ended up being patchy. And this was just really impressive. And the level of detail from the end zones to Lil Red's hat to the balloons, like, it was a very unique, different, fresh atmosphere. I thought the crowd was a game for the night. Like, it felt appropriate for the moment. And so just another, it feels like it gets harder for, Nebraska fans to impress, like, just because the standard is so high, but I think they hit another level on Saturday night for sure.
So, obviously, it looked great walking into the stadium, and it felt great being in the stadium. But how was it walking out of the stadium? What do you think, and what is your kind of temperature on the vibe that currently surrounds Nebraska football and Nebraska football fans?
Well, the first thing I saw when I walked out was a group of USC fans in the Hawks Center parking lot celebrating a Dodgers World Series title.
That's nice.
So that was like, okay, all right. I think they had a good day.
Yeah.
It was a good day for those guys that came out. But, this wasn't Minnesota. Like, this wasn't a game where you felt like maybe the effort or it didn't come together. It was a game. I mean, Nebraska led the majority of the thing. I think probably the vibe was, frustration, like that the injury had to occur when it did. And that was one of those games where Nebraska played so well into the third quarter. It just kind of felt like maybe this was going to be the night where they finally beat USC and beat a ranked team and do it in front of a loaded group of recruits on NBC. And then you have, the injury, like literally a tough break that happens on one sack play, and it slipped away from there. So, like, I think that's kind of what it was. Like, this wasn't a, wow, they're so far away, or wow, why didn't they get up for it? It was just like I think a different kind of frustration, because it was right there for the taking. Then circumstances rose up, and it ended up being a pretty familiar finish.
What is your takeaway? I know you did a great job there describing, how the fans felt, but how do you, Evan Bland, feel? Because I've picked up two different tones from people. The one tone is, look, the quarterback got hurt. Quarterback didn't get hurt. They're going to win that game. There's positives to take away. And the other tone that I get is, hey, I understand the quarterback got hurt, but there was still a lot of things that happened in that game that should not have happened, that stopped them from winning the game, even with TJ Lateef in at quarterback. Or if you were to put yourself in one of those camps, or maybe be in your own camp, what would that look like?
Yeah, I think there were elements in both. Like, I felt like in real time in the third quarter, when Nebraska took those two timeouts, it felt like that was a mistake. They were up 8 points at that time, and you're just like, man, oh man, like, that's the first one, I guess, was related to the late hit that wasn't called, or the late shove. And, I think we'll probably ask Matt Rule about that today, kind of what went into that. But that's a timeout you'd love to have there late in the fourth quarter that could have at least given you a chance. The other one probably, I guess, was related to TJ Lateef being a little discombobulated, I think was what one of the players or coaches said afterwards. So you kind of felt like maybe that was a missed opportunity with that. You go to a true freshman in a situation like that, and it's going to minimize your playbook, right? Like it's just going to happen. And USC knew that. And so they were playing up close for the short passes, or they were ready to follow Lateef if he was going to take off on a designed run or a scramble. So it did feel like that the offense went into a shell a little bit. And again, it's like, what are you going to do in a circumstance like that? You've invested your practice reps in Dylan Raiola that week. And so it didn't happen. So I think that's probably the thing is like the what if that does not you. It's like if Dylan Raiola stayed healthy, like how different could that game have been? I think Nebraska probably would have found a way to hold on or to score just a couple more points, and maybe they save those timeouts and things look a little different. So like that's kind of where I come down, is like it's just kind of amazing that this streak against ranked teams continues on, and like this one felt like as good as any of an opportunity to end it, and it doesn't happen. And so like I guess as a fan or as an observer, you see like the progress that the program continues to make, and I think they are in a lot of tangible ways. But then you look up and you see ultimately like the result in some of these biggest games remains the same too. It's a close loss. A couple swing plays or circumstances go a different way. And so you have to kind of process that, like square that somehow. How do you kind of square that in your mind? I think that's where they are. And maybe the most disappointing part, Matt, is because of the injuries, certainly to Raiola, maybe to Elijah Pritchett, then this changes the tone of these next three games too, where suddenly it looks like it's going to be a lot more of a grind just to get another win in November. And so you're in a situation where you could still go 9-3 or 6-6 the rest of the way. That's a pretty big difference. And you're doing it now without some of your players that you've invested the most in.
So look, I got to ask you about Emmett Johnson, because he's getting some draft buzz now, and we'll see what happens. It's all going to, how that stuff works, right? With the testing and the underwear Olympics and everything like that. So we'll see if he, how he does. But from a pure playing perspective, there's no doubt that he's playing at a level that translates to the next level that he could be playing on Sundays. My question to you isn't necessarily, where's he going to get drafted, Evan? My question to you is, have you really seen a transformation like this with your own eyes at Nebraska? And on top of that, did anyone really see this coming? Did anyone, even after the Cincinnati game, did anyone really think that at some point this season in Big Ten play, the offensive game plan was going to be give it to 21 and let him go to work?
It's been a great story. Yeah. I mean, it really has. Like, he's been a guy, Emmett has, who's been overlooked pretty much all of his college career. Like he got that late offer from Nebraska late in his recruiting process, and he was the fourth string guy early in his career and got an opportunity because of injuries. And even last year, like it wasn't like he was the obvious odds-on guy to be the workhorse, and kind of gets the job late. And even then, Nebraska's kind of looking in the portal for a running back in the off season. And like, he's done a great job. I think you think about the things earlier in his career that were maybe knocks on him. One was his breakaway speed. Well, he's a guy now who can hit the home run ball. We've seen that more. He was somebody who people wondered if he could stay healthy just because he is a little bit of a smaller running back, and he's been incredibly durable amid one of the heaviest workloads of any FBS player. So like, that's impressive. He's always been, a leader, like intangibly speaking, just a quality individual. You think about last offseason when he and Dylan Raiola were making the rounds through the high school basketball scene, picking somewhere different. So like I think this is a place that he cares about. He had the dalliance in the portal last winter. Ultimately, he kind of doubled down on Nebraska, and this being the place for him. And so it's a cool story. And then, obviously the ability, like, it's just so much fun watching him run, where he just kind of feels like he's he's pushing through a crowd every time he gets the ball, and his ability to be patient, wait for a block, to make a guy miss in a tight space. Like, so much of that stuff is just ability taking over. And then of course he's versatile. He can catch passes and pass protect and all the rest. And so I think he's got, a great chance to be drafted. I think what ESPN maybe had him among their top 10 running back prospects. 8. And 8. Well, there you go. So yeah, it's one of the better development stories Nebraska's had. And given just kind of the uncertainty behind him at that position, he's been even more valuable. So certainly probably one of the best individual stories on the team this year.
So Gary and I were having a discussion earlier on in the show before he had to leave about throwing the ball over the middle of the field. And I'll have to go ahead and get some over the middle of the field numbers, and we'll talk about it throughout the week. But I want to ask you, because I'm watching all these games on TV because I'm doing the post game. You're at the game. You are in the press box. You have the eagle-eyed view, right? And unfortunately for the people who have to watch the game on TV, we don't see the down the field separation, right? And we don't really see a ton of the wide receivers. And so I have to ask you, when you watch this game from your vantage point, is the over the middle of the field, the lack of production over the middle of the field, it seems like, does that have to do with hesitancy to throw the ball, or do you think the wide receivers are having a tough time getting separation?
Well, I think sometimes there have been instances where certainly where Dylan hasn't seen guys open, and I don't know that that's always over the middle of the field specifically, but
sure,
sometimes it's down the sidelines or wherever. And I don't know that Nebraska's receiving core, generally speaking, is the kind that's going to be like super physical, like high point the ball kind of players. I think Dane Key has shown that at times, and Isaiah Hunter has shown that at times. Ja'Cory Barney is more of a get the ball in space and let him cook kind of a guy. And we haven't really seen a ton of tight end involvement in the passing game. It was another pretty limited game as far as pass catching from Luke Lindenmeyer. He had a great blocking game, but just wasn't super involved as a pass catcher. We haven't really seen Heinrich Harburg get involved much in that way this year. So you don't have a ton of big bodies over the middle, and you don't have a ton of guys who are maybe physical enough and big enough to gain separation in the middle. So I think that's fair. Like, when Nebraska really needs something, especially in the red zone, what do you see? You see a lot of fades, a lot of swing outs, and trying to hit the edge and use their speed more than you're trying to see them, just kind of out physical guys over the top. So I think that's a dimension that they'd like to add. I'm probably going to have to try to add through the portal in the off season. Maybe develop that. Maybe Mac Markway, when he returns as a tight end, could bring that dimension a little bit more next year. But I think that's all fair. Like, it's if you're preparing to defend Nebraska's offense, like that's an area you don't feel like is probably going to be threatened too much. Sure. And now that conversation changes even more with TJ Lateef. I mean, he's a guy who's got a great arm. We saw the one deep ball to Hunter that was broken up on a good defensive play, but he has that ability. We'll see how much or how comfortable Nebraska is opening things up for him a little bit now with a week's worth of preparation. I think that'll be the next thing to watch.
Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. We'll get you out on this one. You bring up the backup quarterback. What are your expectations for TJ Lateef, the freshman out of Compton, California, when he goes back home to California to take on the UCLA Bruins?
Well, I think he brings a different dimension. Like, he's a guy who clearly can run, and Nebraska was most comfortable with him doing that in an emergency spot against USC. So I think you'll see that a little bit more, and maybe that added threat of a quarterback run game opens things up a little bit more in the pass game, where a defense is going to have to commit a linebacker or a safety to watching Lateef. So it's possible that that's a situation where maybe things get going a little bit more. But again, he's a true freshman. It helps that he enrolled in January, so he's been with the team through what Dana Holgerson's called 4 install periods. He's obviously been the backup this season, so he knows the plays. But I think it just comes down to how comfortable Nebraska is opening things up for him. Like, or like what we saw against USC was when he was passing, usually it was like, if the first guy's not there, tuck it and run. Maybe you go number 2 on your progressions, and that can work for a few drives, but was that going to work for a full game or multiple games? Or is Nebraska, after with a week's worth of practice and then another bye, and then, if he finishes the year, how different can that look moving forward? I think the other thing worth remembering, Matt, is like, this is a guy who was a high 4-star prospect. He played high level high school football in the Southern California, LA area. And like, his offer list was elite. I mean, Georgia was after him, Alabama, like a lot of these top teams, and Nebraska came in late and won out for him. So this isn't a situation where, this is a warm body filling the role. Like, this is a guy that Nebraska sees as its successor to Dylan Raiola at some point. And so here he is now, and he's got that ability. It's just a matter of how prepared, how ready is he now to do what they want to do for the stretch run.
Yeah, it was a really, really big moment for him to come in against USC in front of that big crowd against a ranked team. And I think that it'd be unfair to fully judge on what you think you have with TJ Lateef in that scenario. But we will see certainly what they have in TJ Lateef when he goes on the road to take on the UCLA Bruins and try and get Nebraska's 7th win in the regular season, something they haven't done since 2016. Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald, you're great as always. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, man. See ya.
See ya. We will see. That's the one thing. It's like, what's the vibe of the season, right? Like, I think that there are people with some positive vibes. There, I think, aren't as many people with negative vibes as you maybe would expect after your starting quarterback goes down. And that's something that we'll talk about in the next hour. But I'll tell you this, TJ Lateef, if he goes out and he plays well against UCLA on Saturday, the vibes are going to be high. If he does the opposite, it's going to be a rough couple of weeks in the season with Nebraska taking on Penn State on the road and Iowa and taking on Iowa at Memorial Stadium to end the season. So Saturday's the vibe day. You'll find out. Are you going to be excited for the last 2 games of Husker football in the regular season, at least, or are you going to be kind of wishing for the season to be over? We will find that question out on Saturday, and we will be here all week on 1620 The Zone, whether it be Gary and Matt, Connor Happer Show, and Unsportsmanlike Conduct, leading you up to that game, 8 p.m. kickoff on Big Fox on Saturday in California. Don't go anywhere. We talk about heartbreak and joy coming up next on Gary and Matt. Nebraska will be on the road for the next couple of weeks, heading out to UCLA and then Penn State after that. A little West Coast to East Coast type trip. Well, they got a bye week in between that as well. But the next time Nebraska plays at home will be against Iowa. And you can go to 1620thezone.com right now to enter for your chance to win 2 tickets to the Ultimate Blur tailgate party, where you can say hi to Michael Severe and John Bishop, who will be doing the 1620 the pregame show for that.
Has anyone done that yet?
What?
Said hi to him?
I hope so. I haven't
Me
seen
too.
any pictures or anything like that. We all have our favorites.
Don't forget Nick. You say hi to Nick.
Say hi to Nick too. We all have our favorites, right, Jimmy? Like you have your favorite food.
Oh, I was going to say,
You
I
got-
thought you're trying to.
You have
Favorite coworkers.
No.
or something. I don't know.
Well, you might have favorite coworkers. You might have your favorite color. Every parent, by the way, has a favorite kid.
Yes.
You can't convince me that not every parent has a favorite. I know they.
Even when you work with
I
kids, you
love
have
them
favorites.
all the same. No. Every parent has a favorite. I'm going to tell you, Jimmy, my favorite race. I love the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Oh, we're talking horsey. Yes. Okay.
That was the joke. I love the Breeders' Cup Classic. People don't understand. For the people who like horse racing, you have these horses that go ahead and they run in the Kentucky Derby and the Belmont Stakes and the Preakness, and during the Triple Crown, you fall in love with these horses, and then they go ahead and you kind of forget about them. The Breeders' Cup Classic is what it's all about in terms of bringing those horses back and seeing them ride one last time in a really, really big race, right? Journalism was there in the Breeders'
One more
Cup
time
Classic.
before the glue falls.
Exactly. Sierra Leone was there. Didn't win. Screw you. Would have made some money off of you. But the joy of Forever Young, the Japanese racehorse that won at the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club, that was absolutely incredible to see that owner. Like, I love it when in horse racing, when the horse wins and then all the humans go crazy for an animal and they just start. I just think it's so funny.
You wish
it's
it was
so
all the
incredible.
horses would go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You think they'd be supporting their guys. But then you also see the heartbreak of what sports is yesterday when in Phoenix in the finale of NASCAR, Denny Hamlin, who is the greatest racer to never win a Winston Cup, had a opportunity yesterday, which, by the way, how NASCAR does their playoffs is absolutely stupid. If you know, you know. It should not be done the way that they do it. But goes ahead and it's tragic, Jimmy. Not a lot of people know what I'm talking about here, but Denny
Probably not.
Hamlin's father, unfortunately, is terminally ill. And so this is kind of, and Denny admitted it's kind of his last chance to win a championship in front of his father. And he had the lead with 4 laps to go in the race. And then a caution came out because a car crashed into the wall. And then he ended up losing the race and losing the championship to Kyle Larson, who ended up having an incredible comeback this season. It's just, it reminds you when you watch all these sports in consecutive order in the weekends, when you watch football, when you watch horse racing, when you watch baseball, when you watch NASCAR, it's all about the joy and then with a little bit of heartbreak. And you watch a game like the World Series and you see everybody in LA go absolutely crazy. And you start thinking to yourself, why can't the Huskers bring me joy? Why can't they do it? All you want to do is just beat a ranked team, and you want to celebrate and have that euphoria of finally Nebraska football is back where it once was. And I feel like we are all chasing that. And I want to give an incredible shout out to the Memorial Stadium crowd on Saturday at the Blackout, because the amount of commitment and effort and passion that was put into that stadium was absolutely remarkable. And it was all toward a program that, frankly, hasn't done a whole lot in terms of the wins and loss record to deserve that. And so to see 85,000 people all kind of follow the, hey, we're gonna do this, and we want you to wear black, and maybe you don't wear black, but maybe you got to go out and buy a jersey or buy a shirt or buy a hoodie or whatever. To see all those people come together and put that amount of passion into that sport, it just made me yearn for wanting this fan base to have the joy that they so desperately deserve. Because when you see this Japanese racehorse cross the finish line and his jockey is literally crying and all of these people are jumping up and down, not because they won a lot of money, but because their horse is going to be declared a champion and they have so much pride in the work and the commitment that they put into that, it only makes me look at that and go, man, I want Nebraska football, and I want the Nebraska football fan base to have that joy,
or at least
to
a horse.
have that euphoria, or a horse. Owning a horse.
Shout out horses.
Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to make enough money to ever own a horse.
With that attitude, I
Yeah.
think you can. The McSportsbook could have some success.
Could
the
be.
radio thing could take off. You could package that together as one big successful sandwich and get yourself a horse.
Look, comparison is the thief of joy, but then I compare Nebraska football to just everything else I see around me, and I'm like, and I see everybody else having a great time, and I can't help myself but say, man, those people at Memorial Stadium who were all there dressed in black, having an incredible time on Friday or Saturday, they deserve to party the night and to go onto O Street and make bad decisions at Iggy's, go to Barry's, and spend the rest of the night there.
Shout out bad decisions.
I mean, Nebraska football fans deserve that. And it's just, you're just like, man, just do it for them. Just do it so they can celebrate. Just buck up and make a play. So somebody can go to Sandy's and order 7 Elk Creek pictures for a bunch of tables and just have an incredible time. Or, if you don't need to drink, you can just go and have a good old time, regardless of alcohol, however you try to do it. But Nebraska football, that's the one thing I took away from
win more,
that
drink
game.
more.
No, the number one thing I took away from Saturday was seeing everybody in black and seeing the commitment to that and just thinking, man, this team deserves a winner and this team deserves this fan base deserves a winner and that fan base deserves to have that euphoria. And unfortunately, you're just kind of sitting back and waiting for it, hoping and praying that it'll come one day. Hey, you don't have to hope and pray that we'll have good guests on the show. We have one coming up next. It's Big Game Willie Wilson Moore, the Omaha World Herald, coming up on Gary and Matt. Husker basketball begins their season today when they take on West Georgia at Pinnacle Bank Arena to celebrate the beginning of the season. We bring on Big Game Willie Wilson Moore of the Omaha World Herald. Willie, how are you, my man? It's great to talk to you. I haven't heard from you in forever.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Great to hear from you too. I'm doing great. It's basketball season. It's the best time of the year. It's been too long.
It's been too long. Yes, today begins the journey that will end in early April and peak at a couple of weeks in March when we have March Madness. But we are on the road today. Big day for you. Big day for John Rothstein and all the tweets and everything like that. Big day for Husker basketball, who has a very, very big season on the docket for Fred Hoiberg and the future of this program. I'll just lead you off with this, Wilson. Just what are your expectations for Husker basketball this year?
My expectations are for this team to be competitive. I expect them to look maybe not functionally, but stylistically much more like the Nebraska team of 2 years ago than last season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at who they added the portal, Price Sanford, Rink Mast and Braden Frager aren't portal acquisitions, but they're guys who are going to play this year who didn't last year. But Kendall Blue, the biggest thematic thing in there is that everyone is at minimum a capable shooter. That wasn't the case last season. There were guys who, guys who couldn't shoot. And for Fred Hoiberg's offense to work at its best, it's at its best when they're playing space and pace. They're spreading teams out. They're opening up the center of the floor. And I think this team has the tools to do that much better than last year's team. We saw it with the BYU exhibition, that there are a lot more options, a lot more guys who can get hot. So I would expect this team to play with a little more pace, be a better offensive team than last year, and to look more like a typical Fred Hoiberg offense.
Mm-hmm. You bring up one guy that everybody is buzzing about, and you wrote an incredible article about him. So I encourage anybody to go and read what you wrote. Braden Frager is a guy that, like you said, not an acquisition in the portal, not a new guy. He was on the team last year, but is a dude that everybody was kind of hearing whispers about of, okay, he's playing better. He looks better. He's practicing really well. And then he goes ahead and he plays the exhibition games, and you kind of see what people are talking about. And he's exactly the type of guy that Nebraska needs to step up this season for them to have a successful basketball season. Just talk about a little bit about your article, and then just a little bit about Frager and his kind of explosion onto the scene of from guy of like, is he going to ever really make an impact on the team to, he might be a really, really key asset for this roster this season.
Yeah. Thank you for that, first of all. But yeah, the story was just, something I wanted to do for a long time because, you just think about what goes on for a guy like that when he spends a whole year not being able to play. These guys come into, Division I college basketball players. They've been the best player on their teams, most years growing up, middle school, high school, whatever. So how do you handle that? Just the kind of ego check that you get from that, and the developmental years. That isn't the most glamorous thing, but that is necessary. So I wanted to explore that. Appreciate Braden for being as open about it as he was. Everyone else who talked with me for that. And as for Braden this season, I think everyone saw, if they didn't know already, in that Midland exhibition, he's a guy who can get hot. 6 3-pointers, and yes, it was against an NAI school, but like shooting. If you're getting open looks, you're getting open looks, and he showed he can heat up quickly. So that's the thing, that I think people saw. The thing, what I think is still, he hasn't shown as much that he is capable of is he's real athletic. He's got some bounce. He can get up, and Nebraska's going to need that, of just, who's going to be a guy who brings energy on defense. Fred Hoiberg has compared Frager to Jawan Gary a lot, just in that they hope he brings that kind of energy, be physical, hustle, dive for loose balls. So yeah, I think Frager is going to be one of those guys who determines the ceiling of the Nebraska team. You think about they've got maybe a certain baseline with like the rink mass types, Price Stanford. I think Braden's going to be a guy who, there's always going to be some unknown about an 18-year-old, but he's a guy who, if he comes in and he is great from the jump and shoots a good percentage from three, makes those hustle plays, that just elevates what this roster is going to be capable of.
What do you make of the point guard position? I mean, the two guys kind of expected to manage that load are Jamarcus Lawrence and Sam Hoiberg. Both of them have some positives, but neither are real, what you would call maybe traditional point guards in terms of facilitating and creating shots for others. I mean, is it going to be, creation by committee? Or is one of those guys going to have to change their game a little bit?
Yeah, I think there will be, to a certain extent, there will be a committee approach. Fred Hoiberg has talked about that a bit with the two you mentioned, plus Cale Jacobson and Kendall Blue. Blue handled kind of the second unit point guard duties a lot in that second exhibition. Hoiberg was happy with the way he played. I will say, having seen two games in person now, it looks like Jamarcus Lawrence is an evolved version of the guy who played for Nebraska as a sophomore. That the BYU exhibition, he was, I think, 2 for 11 from the field, and I thought he was fantastic, even without making shots, just because of how he ran the offense. And he had 9 assists and one turnover. He got the ball up and down the floor quickly. I thought he was everything you wanted, like, from your point guard that game, and had a huge impact on that game despite not making shots. And that's what Nebraska's going to want all season.
Your biggest concern for this team this season is what, Wilson?
I would say on the defensive end. I don't, you think of who they lost. Jawan Gary is probably their best perimeter defender. Bryce Williams was a guy who could play defense. You just look at that and you wonder who is going to be like their real defensive stopper on the perimeter. Jamarcus Lawrence is a very good defender. Sam Hoiberg is a very good defender. They're both kind of small. They're 6'3" and 6 feet respectively. Who's going to be the guy who, steps up and stops, the elite wing score, who's going to handle the 7-footers under the basket when they play a team like Michigan. I don't think this team is going to have any issues scoring the ball.
Yeah.
I think they're going to play in some very high-scoring games one way or another.
Yeah. You look at this offense, I mean, this in theory is the roster for the Fred Hoiberg offense, right? In terms of the spacing they have.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are your, are you expecting a Nebraska, some 90, 85 Nebraska victories? I mean, like, what do you think the ceiling of this offense could be?
Ceiling, yeah. Something like that, I think we're going to see that it can be a different guy's night a lot. We already saw that in the exhibitions with, the first game it was Rink Mass and Connor Esijan. The second one, it was Price Stanford and Braden Frager. Kendall Blue is a guy who could shoot the ball when he was at St. Thomas. Jamarcus Lawrence is a solid shooter. So I think we're going to see again, kind of a balanced offense. I don't think there's going to be a Bryce Williams in there who averages 20 a game. Again, I think it'll be more like two years ago, where just a bunch of guys who average between like 14 and 9 points per game. What that offense will look like, I will say this: I am looking forward to December 7th when Nebraska plays Creighton, because that's going to be two teams just launching 3-pointers for 40 minutes, and I can't wait.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. Okay, so I'm not going to ask you, and by the way, Wilson Moore, the Omaha World Herald, go and follow him and read him. I'm not going to ask you, do you think this team is going to make the tournament? Because that, I know it's the $1 million question, but I just think it's unfair for me to have you in November, when you haven't seen this team play yet, play a regular season game, albeit, say that. But where do you think this team could fall within the Big Ten? I know they were 14th in the preseason rankings. Do you think that was too low? You think it was too high? What's your make of just how they are positioned within the league?
Yeah, I think they're going to end up being better than the 14th best team in the Big Ten. I think they're going to outperform that. When I was putting together like my ballot, I found there between like 8 and like 13 for me was just like 5 teams that's like, okay, anybody can go in here. And I think they'll fall somewhere in there, somewhere in the middle of the Big Ten, higher, lower based on just, the breaks of the game, who steps up, everyone's staying healthy. I could certainly see them. I'm not going to go out on a limb here, like you said in November, but
Yeah.
I think this is a team certainly like with the talent and like with the roster that could make another NCAA tournament if things go right.
All right, Wilson, we'll leave you here on this. This is a big season for Fred Hoiberg, not making the tournament last year, and there are some expectations that he should return, and I'm sure that we got into conversations about his job security last season. I'm sure at some point we'll have those same combos. What has your I want to say, what has your take been on the vibe around the team, the vibe around coach? Do you is there anything different about him knowing that this is a pivotal year in the program, or is there anything different from that you might have noticed from this season to last season, considering the fact that this roster probably is more well suited for his style of coaching than last season?
Yeah, I certainly think there's some optimism around there. Like you said, just that this roster seems to fit his vision a little bit better than last season. I think we're going to see a team that is better at playing Fred Hoiberg basketball than last year, and you got to figure that that brings some comfort that you have a group of guys that can, if nothing else, on offense, execute the vision that you want and what worked so well 2 years ago.
Wilson, you are the man. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure we're going to have you on as we get a couple more big games on the docket tonight. While not the best opponent, is the beginning of the season, so big game Willie always in the house. Thank you so much, Wilson.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. Should be an interesting one, Jimmy Chavez.
I feel better about life now since we had Willie on.
Oh, I'm like, we got to have Willie on more.
We should.
Oh, you see what I did there? Willie on more. Wilson
look at you
more.
learning.
God, I am so good with words.
That time you spent with Josh Hodson on Saturday really helped you.
Oh, it did, without a doubt. Yeah, this season, man, it's going to be interesting. I mean, we really got deep in the weeds last year in terms of, all right, this team looked really good and looks like they're going to go back to the NCAA tournament, back-to-back seasons, and it looks like Fred Hoiberg has figured out the way that he wants to build the roster, right, through the transfer portal and whatnot. And then they go on a terrible losing streak, and you're like, all right, I guess we're screwed. Guess this isn't happening. Guess he's not the guy. And then they flipped it back around on you, and they made you think, oh no, actually, look, this perseverance. Look at this team. Look at them kind of battle back from having a rough stretch. They could end up making the tournament, and then they flipped it back the other way and said, no, we're even though that we have some beatable opponents in Minnesota and Iowa who haven't had good years in the Big Ten, we're still going to lose to those teams at home of all places, and not make the NCAA tournament, but not even make the Big Ten tournament. And then they made the crown, and then they won the crown. I'm like, okay. I mean, where was that?
So you got them in the Elite Eight this year.
Where was that passion? Well, this team, it is really, like Wilson said, it is built for Fred Hoiberg, this offense. Last year, it was so apparently clear, just the lack of shooting that they had on the perimeter. And it just seemed like the only guy you could consistently count on was Connor Esigian to take those shots. And then Bryce Williams at the end of the season, not so much at the beginning, but at the end, he got absolutely on fire. And it was like, man, like if this team had more shooting on the outside, you could space the floor a little bit more, give Bryce Williams a little bit more space going to the basket. And I mean, especially down the stretch, it seemed like their only consistent offense was, hey, we're going to give the ball to Bryce Williams and have him go to the hole. And that's just not an efficient way to play basketball. This offense is built more so for Fred Hoiberg, with the shooting you have with Sanford, with the shooting you have with Esigian, with the spacing ability of Rink Mast. And then, you also got a couple in the fact that Jamarcus Lawrence and Sam Hoiberg, while they aren't necessarily knockdown guys, they're capable. And that works, but it's the rebound. It's the defense. It's the kind of what Wilson said. Like when you go ahead and you play some of the better players in the Big Ten, is there really a guy on that team that you trust as the stalwart? Is there really a guy that you're going to say, hey, he's going to guard Trey Kaufman-Renn tonight? I mean, I don't really think that they have that. And so that'll be the concerning thing. If they can play average defense, I trust that the offense will flow in a way that will win them games and will be at times explosive. Now, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. So you're going to have a game this year where Nebraska is going to make a lot of 3-pointers, and you hope that that's a game that comes against a high-level opponent like Creighton, or a high-level opponent like Purdue. That is going to be, or UCLA, or, just a high-quality team that'll look really good on your resume. There will also be a game where they take a ton of threes and they miss way too many of them and lose to a team because of that.
James Harden offense.
And you hope that game comes against a good team and not a bad one that's going to look bad on your resume. And that's just kind of what you're going to have to live and die with, because that's how this roster is built.
Yes,
but
pick when you lose.
Yeah, well, just going to have to hope. But the thing, though, is more than anything, this is a roster that is made to go, 4 out, 1 in. Maybe even they can do some lineups where maybe they go 5 out, and it's supposed to space the floor. And that's where Fred Hoiberg and his offense works at its best. And you won't have to, deal with as many Bearcade Buchton gel 3-pointers, because they actually have guys on the team that are now more capable of doing that. And the apparent rise of Braden Frager will be very, very, if it comes to fruition, will be massive for this basketball team, and will just be massive in general from a high school recruiting perspective, because that's something that Nebraska has struggled in, bringing in high school recruits and then developing them into high quality basketball players, which is something that, it's getting less and less necessary because of the transfer portal, but still is something very important that Nebraska kind of has missed the ball on over the last couple of years. So you hope that Frager becomes the exception, and then you get more high school guys, you learn from that, you develop them more, and then you start building a system around it. So it'll be an interesting year. I mean, this is a team that's kind of projected to be, either in the play-in in Dayton, or, one of the first 8 looking on the outside, looking into the NCAA tournament. If Fred Hoiberg doesn't make the tournament this year in any sort of capacity, it's going to be some awkward and maybe at times uncomfortable conversations around here. So season begins tonight for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. It also begins today, for the Omaha Mavericks. They tip off at 12:30 against the Murray State Racers. And then here on 1620 The Zone, we will have the beginning of Creighton basketball on Wednesday when they take on South Dakota. You can listen to that. John Bishop will be on the call. Austin Jacobson on the pregame. I will be on the postgame. Coming up next, we talk about one of the greatest games of baseball I ever watched in my life, and it was absolutely incredible. And we'll get to some of your emails and tweets here on Gary and Matt. It's always a sad development when you see somebody make a decision for a certain reason, and then that decision just completely backfires. Do you know
Trust
the
me, I
story
know.
of this Carolina Panther podcast that after the Carolina Panthers lost horrifically earlier in the year, they decided that they weren't going to do their podcast anymore because it wasn't worth it, that the Panthers don't bring them happiness?
You're not canceling Take 5, are you?
No, 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 no.
Oh, okay.
No,
But
but
it's
but-
just one game.
But here's what's happened.
The Teefies
Jimmy.
need you.
They canceled their podcast about a month ago, and in that month, the Panthers have been good. The Panthers have been frisky. The
Helps to
Panthers
play
have
the
won
Cowboys.
games.
Although they
Well,
did you a favor yesterday. Shout out them.
Yes. I mean, dude, Green Bay Packers offense is Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, there's moments
to see
where-
it?
Oh, I love to see it. I mean, there are
Sorry,
moments where it's like, holy crap, like they got another guy in Jordan Love. And it's so, you know that, so the Green Bay Packers since, I think it's 90, I don't know what year it is, but it's over the last 30 years. They've only had 3 quarterbacks make 10 or more starts for their team. Rodgers, Favre, and Jordan Love, which is absolutely ridiculous.
But since 92.
There are moments where you're like, oh my God, Jordan Love looks incredible. Oh my God, he looks like a dude. Oh my God, this is it. And then there are moments yesterday where he literally throws the ball into the end zone, and all that is there is a Carolina Panther waiting to catch it. So
I think he's all right, but I'm still not completely sold on him.
well, I also think
I don't
that
think he's bad though.
They gave him a ton of money after being crappy for one half of the season and then really, really good for the next half of the season. And then last year, he was hurt for a lot of the year. And so it's kind of hard to fully judge what he looks like. And even, when he was healthy, he did play pretty well at times. This season, it's been like, granted, they're still 5-2-1. They're still a good football team and they have plenty of weapons. And, the defense has played well,
Yeah,
really
terrific
well,
defensive
really,
end.
really, really well for the most part. But it's just like it just seems like week in and week out, they can't put it all together, which is why you get just some baffling results. I mean, that was they were a 9.5 point favorite yesterday. And they ended up no. Minnesota was a 9.5 point favorite and they ended up beating Detroit, which was a great win. I think they might have been a 2 touchdown favorite yesterday. Yeah, they were a 13.5 point favorite yesterday. And they lost.
Looks like somebody didn't cover.
No, and they were a double-digit favorite against the Cleveland Browns a couple of weeks ago.
Many
and they
teams
lost,
are.
and they lost that game. And then they tied your Green Bay Packers on still a baffling late game time management, just absolute blunder from Matt LaFleur. So that's a weird football team. But what I was saying is, doesn't it suck that this Panthers podcast cancels? Says, hey, we're not doing this anymore. We can't take it anymore. This team is so bad, it brings us no joy. I think in their letter, they said, we want to spend time with our families. And then they leave and the Carolina Panthers become incredibly frisky. And all of a sudden you start believing in Rico Dowdle, which, by the way, I'm sorry about that, Jimmy.
Why? What happened?
Well, he was a former Cowboy.
My team sucks. They're never going to do anything.
Well, your
So,
team plays tonight.
Yeah.
Pretty big game.
Let's see. What'd they do last week? They played terrible, so I believe it's on the schedule to win tonight.
I think it is.
Remember, to go 8-8, you got to win 8, just like you lose 8. They already have one tie.
You can't act, though, as if the Cowboys always go 8.
Oh, they will forever.
No, they won't.
Yeah, until Jerry dies, which
They
he
were-
won't
they
because
were-
he is feasting on babies and the blood of virgins, and he will live forever.
They're 2 years removed from multiple back-to-back 12.
They're 30 years from doing anything worth a damn. I don't care how many games they won
I got
2 years ago.
I got you beat because my team is 41 years removed.
Yeah, see, so there, handshake me. Wait, your team beat my team, so there.
Well, yeah, that was actually, it was funny. It was like college football where it's like you win a game and that win all of a sudden starts to feel a lot better. That's how I felt with your team until they
You
got
should still
absolutely
feel it.
mollywopped
Let me
last
ask you, did you have fun that day?
Yeah, I had a
That's
great
all that
time.
matters.
I am, though, the pessimistic dude, though, that goes, well, CD Lamb didn't play. So does that really count? Just like yesterday, Trey Hendrickson didn't play for Cincinnati. And that's probably the reason why they ended up giving 47 points up to the Chicago Bears, who seem destined
sure
to
I'll
blow
be in
that
bed
game.
by 9 tonight.
What do you mean?
I miss when I used to care.
What do you mean?
I just,
Let's go your team.
Yeah.
You still got to care about your team.
Yeah, I try. Maybe I should take up gambling like you.
Well,
I need to be. They do say I
Wasn't a
need a
good week.
hobby.
Yeah, I mean, gambling, it is what it is.
It involves math.
Is anyone on the? Oh, I thought that'd be a perfect time to segue to the Prairie Flower Casino hotline if there was anyone on there.
There's nobody
talking
on
about gambling, but
Nobody
instead
calling.
we'll transition to the.
They're saving their calls for Saturday's Big Red overreaction.
We'll
They want to talk to you.
We'll transition to the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. Chris writes in, "No, I disagree. This fan base doesn't deserve anything in this version of college football. You get exactly as many wins as you buy with recruiting. NIL will let you go buy as many wins as you want. The fact that we will not spend on the level of Ohio State or Texas, this fan base got exactly what they deserve. This was set for my mobile device. Please excuse spelling errors and brevity."
No judging. This is in daily oral language. We're not here to judge you.
Chris, I disagree
Good
with
thought.
you. And here's why I disagree with you. What you're talking about is the Nebraska football team deserves what they got for not spending the money that you think they should spend. Okay, that's the football program. That's the football department. That's the athletic department. You could say they got what they deserve because they didn't properly spend money in the places and didn't efficiently spend that money. But that's not the fan base. All right. The fan base deserves, based off of what the effort and pride and passion that they put into a team. And this fan base puts in a ton of pride and a ton of passion and shows up in the biggest and worst moments for this football program. So, yeah, your email, if you want to say the team doesn't deserve because they don't invest, that's fine. But the fan base most definitely deserves a winner here at Nebraska. So I'll respectfully disagree with that. We'll go to Matt, who asks, is there an O.J. Simpson USC jersey? I'm sure there is. I'm sure that's really popular at fraternity parties or something like that. Matt also writes in, why doesn't Nebraska throw any crossing routes, rub routes, or tighten on hash? Seems like just throw fade routes and screens. It is because they don't trust offensive line or QBs don't throw well down the middle. Fade routes are 50-50 if thrown well. I know. I don't get it either. I don't understand. Just Dylan has definitely struggled with the deep ball this season. I mean, just kind of your eyes and the stats definitely both agree with that. And yet they don't really decide to get guys moving on the run and throwing them on the run and throwing them in stride. Instead, they decide to throw fade balls over and over and over again, which, isn't Dylan's best throw. And that is a question that needs to be asked. Why isn't the ball getting pushed down the middle of the field more? Why isn't that something that they're doing? And I think that it is a little bit of both. It's the fact that Dylan Raiola, his time to target this season has been 2.81 seconds. That's not good, right? That's too long, right? You need to get that ball out a little bit quicker, right? And that's part of the reason why he's taken so many sacks is because he holds on to the ball at times for too long. And if that is the reason they're not trusting him to throw the ball over the middle and kind of push the ball down the field a little bit more in that regard, then that needs to be fixed. And frankly, with a guy who had 22 starts, that should have been fixed a little bit ago. But now he's injured, unfortunately, and so you can't see him the rest of the year. And we'll just have to kind of sit back and see, if and when he comes back next season, that if he can improve on that. We'll go to the Prairie Flower Casino hotline where we got Tony. Tony, how you doing, my man?
Good morning. Hey, just by the way, is that jerk who called
Yes.
overreaction?
Yes.
Anybody that's played football in the backyard knows what a hike means.
I know.
Idiot.
Thank
Okay,
you,
hike-
Tony. I appreciate you.
And Gary was kind of being aloof about it too. It's like, we know what hike means.
I know.
So you're fine.
I don't care.
Hike them off sides.
I'm not.
Say it all day long.
Man, I
Tony,
must have
you're a
missed
good
something
man.
Saturday.
I know. The guy was a doofus, but I appreciate you, Tony.
Oh, he was so pompous. You mean draw them up? Are
Yeah,
you trying to say draw them up? Yeah, jerk. That's what you get. What we're trying to say. Everybody was ticked off, but he was being pompous. So anyway,
appreciate it, Tony. What do you got for me?
At first I was just going to talk about the real winner on Saturday was the blackout Husker Nation, Husker fans. How there's still the energy there is from the last 25 years. That football program better understand it truly has an amazing fan base. I get there's a lot of fan bases out there, but wow, coming back from Ames because my wife is an Arizona State grad.
Okay. Oh, hell yes.
And
Good game to be at.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cold and wet. But I got to see another Nebraska former quarterback thrive, even though Jeff Sims was doing Jeff Sims stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He thrived on Saturday because Billy just puts him in as good a position as you can put him in. Now, he's still prone to being Jeff Sims, but it's really tough to watch a former Nebraska quarterback who we booted out of here, who's just taken over for one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12 in a hostile environment, in a cold day. Arizona State's not used to that weather. And somehow, some way, they were still able to make plays. They were still able to do what they needed to do. And it's just, as a Nebraska fan, it's tough to constantly watch people leave here, and then they go do well somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I wonder, is it us? I mean, is it? Are we that bad?
I don't know. I appreciate the call, Tony. It's good points.
That really leads into the next phone call too, because I agree.
Well, look, Jeff Sims had over 400 total yards, 177 through the air and 228 on the ground.
The Apprentice and I were dialed in on that game.
Yeah, he had 3 total touchdowns, but also had, your Jeff Sims moments of a terrible pick and a fumble. Look, Jeff Sims did not play well enough to warrant bringing him back at Nebraska. He didn't. He was not good. Okay.
I was just happy to see things work for him.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Like that regard.
But I don't think he should have been brought back.
No, I think that ship had sailed. And frankly, the guy that he couldn't be better than at the quarterback position is now their Nebraska's backup tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that season is, you look back on it and what they were dealing with in the QB position with
I'm
another
sure
guy.
he likes Tempe.
Yeah, with another guy who's playing quarterback in Nevada right now, where it's just like, man, I'm not going to say, it's incredible that they got to 5 wins, but they were really dealing with it. And it's funny, Tony brings up Sam Levitt, the other quarterback that Jeff Sims replaced, came in for because he got hurt. Levitt was a guy that Nebraska was all over and really considered bringing to the program until they got word that Dillon was coming, and then that ship sailed as well. So we'll go back to the phones here with Bucky, who wants to talk about the quarterback run game. What's up, Bucky?
Yes.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. I appreciate the guy before me. I'm going to use him as a lead blocker, and I'm going to take the ball here. And I'm going to ask, why the heck aren't we doing any quarterback run? You guys clearly, the fan base and you guys watch other college football, and you see that that's what wins ball games and gets first downs, is a running quarterback.
Yeah.
We got a backup guy. You got a limited package. Where's the lead block? It's your only chance to get even numbers, offense versus defense. Otherwise, you're outmatched and outnumbered every play before you even start. Thanks, fellas. I got nothing else to say. The previous guy, kudos.
Great point. I mean, look, and that's something that they're going to have to add here, with TJ Lateef in order to make him effective against UCLA and Penn State and Iowa. And so it'll be exciting to see. Now, granted, I am of the belief that, look, this is a change of game and you need to have a quarterback who is incredibly capable of throwing the ball. And if you are to get, that's just how the modern game
but you're adding another element to it on Saturday.
But look, I mean, it's so hard to get a guy who does both, because the guy who does both goes in the first round of the draft, right? Those guys are really, really hard to get. And so you kind of have to balance the give and the take. Do you want a guy who throws a little bit worse than another guy because he's more mobile? Do you want a guy who, all right, maybe his mobility isn't great, but he's such a great thrower of the football, so we're going to take him? Those are decisions that I think you have to make in the recruiting process, right? At this point, though, with Dillon and TJ, I don't think that was ever a discussion, because I think you saw on USC, it's just Dillon, just his poise,
think they could have 300 yards rushing on Saturday as a team?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you need another running back to do that as well. That's the thing about Notre Dame. Like, Notre Dame was able to run so much on USC, not just because they had Jeremiah Love.
You have other dudes that can do it.
When they got a Jadarian Price, who's also he's a dude as well. And so I think they can run for a lot. But like I was saying, it's like the Lateef versus Dillon thing, I never really talked about it, because first off, I'm not at practice. I'm not seeing both those guys play. I'm going to trust their judgment that Dillon is much better. But in terms of throwing the ball, but also it's just, you could tell that even though Dillon was not good at getting out of the pocket when pressure was coming. It seemed like he was poised. And I mean, he proved it against Maryland with that fourth quarter drive, to help them win that game. And then even in the fourth quarter against Michigan State, he did it as well. You just don't have that with TJ because he hasn't really played a whole lot. Granted, he's going to play and he's going to be able to develop that. Let's go to the YouTube chat. Star Wars Fiend writes in, "You're missing the point, Matt. Why are other coaches and staff able to take Jeff Sims and Adrian Martinez, surround them with the tools they needed to succeed, and we can't do that here?"
By the way, shout out Adrian for getting in yesterday with the Niners to take
By
a
the
knee.
way, shout out Mac Jones, man, for running onto the sidelines and having Adrian take that.
Our former zone coworker.
Yeah, well, look, Adrian, good guy, and I really like what Mac Jones said about how it's so nice to have a guy like that in the room. Look, Star Wars Fiend's comment about why
long-time loyal listener.
Why
What up, Fiend?
why can other teams take guys that Nebraska didn't win with them? I think that they're, in terms of Adrian, look at the head coaches, right? I mean, Chris Kleiman versus Scott Frost. I don't think I have to say anything other than that. With Jeff Sims, it's so interesting seeing him play yesterday because I think Tony kind of mentioned it. It was a masterclass from Kenny Dillingham.
That 80-yard run for a touchdown. Oh,
it was a masterclass in terms of what Kenny Dillingham did from a play calling perspective. That it kind of masqueraded his flaws, right? It covered up his flaws, and he was able to do some things. And in the play calling, elevated the things that Jeff Sims does very well. And that's what a good coach is.
They didn't ask him to be something he wasn't.
Exactly. And he still made mistakes. But they continue to trust him, and they continue to allow him to run the ball.
And it was raining.
And they continue to allow him to throw the ball. And so I think the combination of keeping the morale high with the quarterback when they make mistakes, and then also calling to strengths and not necessarily calling to what you think is right, is the key in that regard. And Kenny Dillingham did a very, very good job of that yesterday. Now, I do think that you have to kind of look around and say that Jeff Sims 2 years removed from his time at Nebraska. You hope he's better, right? You hope he's 2 years with more experience, 2 years of being in a quarterback room, 2 years of learning, 2 years of, kind of sitting on the sideline and seeing a high level quarterback like Sam Levitt getting done. So I think that you could say he's probably improved as a football player in that regard. But I think the Martinez conversation is so much more interesting than the Sims conversation, because Adrian played at a level where it's like, you want that guy playing quarterback for you. Jeff did not. Jeff Sims did not play at that level. And he never really made it a tough decision in terms of, does Nebraska want to keep him in Lincoln? So it
worked out for everyone.
It is one of those things, though, where it's like, you're going to see that a lot more often. You see it all the time in pro sports, where you have a guy that maybe not pan out on your team, and then you see him have incredible success on another team. Like, you're going to see that a lot more in college football because of the transfer portal and college sports in general.
Sometimes it's just not meant to be in a place.
Oh,
like
yeah,
it's
for sure.
The great John Schreiner once said that on the show long ago. Hey, John's a friend. No, I'm serious.
I love John. Awesome.
But I still have that clip because it was a fantastic clip. But he had talked about, I forgot the context, but you'll get what I'm saying. He was talking about sometimes it just isn't meant to be where it is. It doesn't mean either side is at fault or bad.
Sure.
And it can work out for someone else. And sometimes that's all it is.
All right, we're going to wrap up the show here. Coming up in the next segment, we'll touch on the World Series and just an incredible game. Also talk a little bit about TJ Lateef for a brief second, and then we will send it on over to the Connor Happer Show, the crossover. You're listening to Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. Hey, you can talk to us on the zone here by calling the Prairie Flower Casino hotline. Each week, we will be giving out a $100 gift card to the Sky Bar and Grill at Prairie Flower Casino.
Hell yes.
Enter now to win at 1620thezone.com. Sky Bar plus Grill at Prairie Flower Casino. Play longer, win more. Do you know who was playing longer this year?
Who?
The Toronto Blue Jays and the LA Dodgers.
Look at that.
You got 8 games
Set
in
you
a
up.
7-game series. Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
It was a hell of a series.
I
25
stayed up to watch.
25 million people watched Game 7 of the World Series this year. It was the highest since 2017. The MLB, the attendance, the overall attendance this year also went up. It's up to 71 million people. So that is very good to see. The peak was back in the early 2000s. I think like 78 million people showed up in 2008. But baseball's doing it right. I mean, they had to change their game. Their game was losing popularity. Their game was losing interest amongst the young folk.
They need to get you youngs back.
Yeah, no, seriously. And you had a lot of people who didn't think it was exciting enough and thought the games were too long. And they went ahead and they made some really, really bold decisions in terms of
Parade in LA today.
Yeah, in terms of that'll be incredible. But
Watch that.
The pitch clock and the stolen, and the pickoff moves and whatnot, and increased stolen bases and the banning of the shift, and baseball's moving in the right direction in terms of popularity, and we'll see what happens with their TV rights deal. It was reported back in September. Rob Manfred said they were nearing a deal for the 2026 to 2028 season,
Just in time for a work
with
stoppage.
ESPN. Well, it's funny. I mean, I
remember this script.
I kind of was hoping that they would botch it with ESPN because I'm like, wouldn't you love it if just NBC got baseball because they just seem like they're incredible at broadcasting everything nowadays. I just want NBC to broadcast everything. That's how I feel. After
Young Matt, once upon a time they did.
I know, but I just seeing Maria Taylor for both basketball and for football, and the professional broadcasters they bring in, and have a Noah Eagle announce a Nebraska game was awesome because I think the world of him. I think he's awesome at announcing, and I believe he'll be on the call tonight for the NBC games for the NBA, which I don't know, but yeah, baseball, 25 million people, man. Watch Game 7. I loved that you had guys. So first off, I'm a sucker for a good vignette.
Yes, I still have the text.
That vignette
you weren't
they
wrong.
had, oh my God. I mean, it was awesome. It was so sick with Game 7. And then what I loved more than anything about the beginning presentation of the World Series was you had the national anthem sung by Pia Toscano, who was on American Idol way back when. She's awesome.
Is she related to Enrico Palazzo?
I don't know. Toscano, not Palazzo.
Never heard of her.
But she did the American national anthem. She was awesome. But the Canadian national anthem was oh my God, riveting. Now I was disappointed.
Did you sing along?
No, I was disappointed. They needed a Jim Cornelison type guy.
Actually,
singing.
my wife said the same thing.
They needed a deep, like that guy. He was fine, but he sung it too high. No, you need a you need a deep voice to really get it going. It still was electric because it's Game 7 in Canada singing the Canadian national anthem. That was sick. But I loved, George Springer was born in Connecticut, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is Dominican. I guess he's Dominican Canadian.
Yeah,
I guess
his
his
dad was playing for the Expos.
But still,
Les Expos.
I mean, you had a bunch of guys who weren't born in that country.
So you're saying the Blue Jays need more Canadians?
Well, no,
more mullets.
What I'm saying is that
the
you had
McKenzie
a guy.
brothers.
You had a guy. Well,
who have
Vladimir
been
Guerrero
there.
Jr. was born in Canada, but you had a guy in like George Springer and other dudes on that team who were not Canadian, and they were singing the Canadian national anthem.
It's a banger.
And the reason they weren't singing it because they weren't singing it because I'm Canadian. They were singing it because they play baseball in Canada and they love their team and they love their fans and they love the people that they play in front of. So I thought it was cool for those guys to take pride, for Springer specifically.
Yeah, it's a great
to
song.
take pride in an anthem.
If it was
that
George
isn't
Strait, they'd be
necessarily
singing.
connected to him. Vlad was born in Montreal, so that's a little different. He can sing. But it was just cool.
Yeah,
I just thought it was cool.
you would sing it too.
The World
We'd
Series
sing
was
it together.
Cool. The World
I
Series
had fun.
was cool.
That was a good World Series. Great
20
baseball. We're sad baseball season's over.
It was an incredible game.
Yeah.
Defense in baseball Talk about underrated electric things.
Apprentice made it 5 innings.
Like Connor Happer.
We work with him.
Connor Happer, our great mid-afternoon or midday host, rather.
That's the next show.
That's the next show that's coming up in 5 minutes. Said on the air a couple of days ago that the play at the plate is one of the most exciting plays in all of sports. Man, that play at the plate, Will Smith. By the way, 6-time World Series champion Will Smith, which is a wild stat. I mean, for him to make that play and then the agony of thinking, oh my God, the Blue Jays won the World Series, just for you to find out that they didn't, had to be terrible for Canadians. But what a World Series. Baseball moving in the right direction. Good for them. Good for us.
And everybody takes a long nap.
And then wake up tomorrow at 6 a.m. to hear Gary Sharp and I talk about football and baseball and basketball and all the great sports.
Join us tomorrow when we talk about sports.
Yes, we are a sports show here on 1620 The Zone. You're listening to Gary and Matt.